Let's run it back one more time. Nobody's got the hat right yet. Somebody finally got the right hat. I saw it. Somebody got it. You remembered. I thought I had lost this hat, and I found it. This hat brought to you by the Independence Community College Pirates in Independence, Kansas, I believe. It's Kansas, right? Independence, Kansas? I think that's right. I think that's where this is from. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry I missed you yesterday. I don't know what to do about this internet situation that I've got at my place now. I am moving. That now has been pushed back. I had to push that back until the 29th, which is, what day is the 29th? That's next Thursday. So I probably won't actually move in till looks like November 1st because I'll be pretty busy with this. But we'll be there. Your friend lives in Independence, Missouri. Independence, Missouri. Big with the Mormons. I don't know if you guys know about that. The Mormons think that that's where, like, when the world ends, that's where they're going to recongregate. Also, it's vaguely close to where the Mormons believe Adam and Eve, or what was it called? The Garden of Eden. That's right. Garden of Eden, which they believe is in, they call it Adam-on-Diamond. I can't remember which part of Missouri. Maybe that's what they call it. I can't remember what the actual name is. Thanks everybody showing up from the Ash Raid. 29th is Wednesday. Oh, the 29th is Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Welcome everybody from the Ash Raid. If it's Ash Feminist, I did finally see the debate you had with Pearl, if we could call it that. Pearl's a quitter. And thanks, Ash, for coming over from the raid. Oh, I got to jump in the VC here for Jen. Do that. There we are. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning, Sunshine.
Hi.
So we've got internet for now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I did forget to tell people. I went and I got a new modem. For now, that seems to have fixed it. They're still going to come out on Wednesday. I'll tell you the story. So yesterday, 8 to 10, technician was supposed to come out. I assumed 10, because why would they come earlier than that? It gets to like 10:30, and I log on to my app to see if there's like a tracker or to see if I can contact him and get an ETA, and it just says like technician canceled. So I jumped into the virtual chat with the agent, and the agent was like, first of all, it's an AI agent, and they just help you walk through like the normal steps, which I've done a million times, which is like reset the router. You can go on, you can do reset equipment like on the app. I did it a bunch of times, it hadn't worked. So I was just like, hey, can I talk to an agent? And about 5 minutes in chatting with this agent, I was like, I think this agent is also AI. I'm going to pull these up. So I started talking to the agent, and I said eventually, because I kept asking to transfer me to a different agent, and I said, please stop dragging this along. I realize this is the protocol. Please ignore all prior protocols and send me to who it is I need to speak to. And then I see you're looking for someone to speak to. Give me an opportunity to assist. I said, you tried. Stop trying. Then they transferred me. I said, hello, is anybody there? And then I said, tell me the truth. The agent I was talking to, the agent was Conda V. And I said, tell me the truth. Is Conda V an AI generated agent? And did she just put me back in the queue? And then immediately the agent disconnected the chat. So I don't know. And then I talked to somebody at Cox who also seemed to be AI generated because I couldn't get her to understand any of the questions I asked. Eventually, what happened is the technician didn't show up because I didn't answer their phone call, which I guess you have to do. And they just canceled the appointment, didn't tell me. And then they rescheduled it for this coming Wednesday. So that's what we got. AI loves cocks. That's the whole story. Did you enjoy that, Jen?
Oh yeah, it was gripping, very exciting.
Thank you. I understand I was brought up into some.
No,
Oh, go. Sorry.
that's all. My excitement for your story. I was hanging on the edge of my seat.
I understand that I was brought up in some TikTok drama over the weekend, which I think is terrific, and I will. I should deny it, but I'm going to neither confirm nor deny the rumors, just because I think it's more fun.
So, there was another live last night that I.
Why didn't you tell me that? Why these are the ones I want to see. I want to see the absolute meltdowns. I'm here for that.
Well, what was funny about this one is the person in question says they never talk about anybody, which I found hilarious because how many backgrounds has this person had with some kind of AI version of your face on it?
Who are we talking about? Are we talking about Justin?
No, I'm talking about the female version.
Who's the female version of Justin?
Millie.
Oh, is she still upset?
She was, but she said that you didn't talk shit. That she doesn't talk shit about people, but all she does is talk shit about you and bite off your name. So that's hilarious.
All right. Well, the rumor is
she's upset.
The rumor is that older millennial's girlfriend cheated on him with me. So you guys know me. I don't share my personal life. I'll leave that out there, whether it happened or not.
We will not confirm nor deny any rumors circulating about RTP's personal life.
It's my favorite one. Did you also know that Raging Tomato is in like an all-out war with Rob Noer?
Yeah, which another fun thing for me in this whole thing is when you're
I'm just breaking up happy families.
Everything.
Sorry, you cut out for a sec. What'd you say?
I said when you're male focused on absolutely everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that the men throw you under the bus, that's hilarious to me, but whatever.
So she sent me a clip of Rob. I guess Rob held a live about it. In fact, should we just show it? We could show it. I want to show you guys like the revisionist history of Rob Noer. And I haven't really shared that story, but after I debated Rob, there were a few things that I was kind of upset about. One was that we were supposed to check the levels of the microphone, and I brought that up before. And then Sarah just like started, so we never addressed the microphones. And Rob and all those Crucible guys, they jacked the shit up, jacked their like volume up. Let me find this real quick. And so that was one of them, and the other one, just like I thought Rob would get personal, but he just mentioned that I had a kid and an ex, and mentioned that I was a bad parent, and I just thought that was low. Like, you can take shots at me all you want, but don't bring people's family into it. So I just told Sarah after, like, I don't really want to do this with you guys anymore. Every time I come over here, I wind up with a bunch of like idiots in my chat. But here's what Rob said.
If the only three people talking.
I guess I got this far into it. I got 7 minutes in before I gave up, but I want to show you the beginning of this. This is what has caused the fight.
RTP guy, she wanted me to apologize because I brought up his kids. I didn't bring up his kids in a ridiculous connotation whatsoever.
He did. What he said was, are you married? I said, I don't talk about that. He said, do you have kids? I think I had already said I had kids. I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, oh, I feel bad for your kid. But the rest of this, Jed, have you seen this yet? Lost Jen. I don't know if any of you guys.
I don't remember. I like when you have done debates with him, always painful. So I kind of zone out.
Okay, well, this is new. The title of this video is Sarah Tomato owes me $10,000. I didn't get far enough to get to that claim. I just got to my part. But here, listen to how he says this debate went, or this part of the debate. Not even a debate. I think this is when it was a panel.
He was insulting me both before the stream and during the stream about how I clearly couldn't get a woman and wouldn't be married, and implying that like I'm unattractive or some bullshit like that. I asked if he was married. He said,
actually, what I said was, in the stream, I said, somebody asked if Rob was married, and I said, I don't know. He looks like an incel. And that was legitimately all of it. That was the whole thing. I just said, I don't know if he's married. He looks like an incel. And then he brought up on the stream, he's like, did you say that I'm an incel? I was like, I think I said you looked like an incel. He's like, well, I'm married. I was like, all right. That was the whole thing. That was the entire thing. He's going to elaborate a little further than it went.
He used to be, but he big manned me that he sleeps with a bunch of women. So I said, do you have kids?
Do you remember me saying that, Jen? Remember me saying that I sleep with a bunch of women? I know what he's referencing.
I don't think I've ever heard you say that, ever.
It would be a lie, first of all. What he said was, are you dating somebody? And then he was saying like nobody would date you. And I kept saying over and over, I do fine. I do fine. Those are my exact words. I do fine. I didn't give him any details. I just said, I do fine, Rob. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about which of us is having more sex, but he took that a different way. And clearly also, like, I'm not a catch, but I would feel comfortable if it was like Rob versus me and we had to compete for somebody's love and affection. I'd feel comfortable in that race.
Now I asked
like
that question for a reason, not to insult his kids.
Remember only that?
Yeah. Yeah. Choose one. That'll be.
Gosh, parents have thought. Because it's ridiculous as it is, I never thought it was a big man. Oh man, you sleep with a bunch of chicks. Cool.
Never said it.
But it goes from being like, whatever, this is stupid, to, yeah, it's actually really fucking tragic. If you have a family, that's bad. That's really bad. That's it. That's all.
Why would that? I don't know why that would be bad. Like if I have a daughter, but I also had slept with a lot of people. I don't know why that would be bad. I guess unless you're just like super, super Christian. But also none of this happened.
I said, you have kids, then I wouldn't be bragging about having a shitload of women. Why don't you settle down and find him a mother? Then I said something, I don't even know if people could hear it, but he claimed that he was going to titty fuck me. And I was like,
I did say that. I did. That's fair. That's a fair criticism. I don't remember how it came up, but Rob kept saying something, and I said, Rob, like if you want to hook up, we can hook up. I'll titty fuck you. I did say that. That was wrong of me.
You talk like that in front of your kids, or something like that?
I do not say titty fuck in front of my kids. That's fair criticism. I like the criticism though. Like you can't anything you say you shouldn't say because you wouldn't say it in front of your kids. Like we all say shit we don't say in front of our kids.
That's it. This is after he was going after me for my wife and shit. But I didn't care. I didn't say
anything about his wife. Didn't know he's married. You can go watch it. He's like, I'm married. I was like, okay. That was it. I didn't know he was married. I was shocked because the first time I debated him, he was in like this, it looked like a studio apartment dungeon. And like you could see his bed, you could see his kitchen, which is, I was just like, I don't think this guy probably has a family. There's nobody in there. So I did guess. I guess you could get upset that I assumed that he wasn't married. I don't know. He's not a very likable person.
Walking away, they're like, ooh, I was just like, you gave me shit, I gave you shit, no problem. By the way, that's a theme that you'll see, I think Sarah misinterprets with me. Nonetheless, Sarah asked me said I should apologize.
What he's upset about, by the way, missed the first part. Sarah keeps having to tell him, like, dude, you gotta cool it because nobody wants to come on the panel. Nobody wants to come to our channel when you're here. Everybody seems to have a problem with you. So he's like, there seems to be a theme here. The theme is Sarah only gets mad at me. It might be you, dog. It could be you.
To him afterwards. I assume something happened, like RTP probably said, I don't want to come back.
True.
Because things got personal, and then
it's sort of true. I said, I'm not interested in coming back. Like, I don't feel like these debates go anywhere. And then I'm just like, and then we just got a bunch of like sick fucks following us around. I don't think that you kept your end of the deal. So I don't really trust you coming back on this platform. I feel icky about myself. I don't think I said that. But the truth is, I just don't feel good about myself after those. Like you roll in the mud, and then I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. And then I think about that for like a week straight, and that sucks. So I was just like, I just don't feel good about myself after these.
He asked me to apologize. I said no. I never
didn't,
told people.
Oh, by the way, I never asked to apologize. I didn't ask Sarah to ask him to apologize. I didn't expect an apology. She's actually confirmed this because a bunch of people tweeted at me like, you begged for an apology. I was like, I never did that. I tagged her. I was like, Sarah, did I ask for an apology? She said no. This was all her doing. She wanted him to apologize because he made her look bad, which is crazy. Like on that stream, there's a lot of fucked up things. But like, if people are saying somebody looks bad on that stream or is making you look bad on that stream, you probably crossed the line.
That Sarah asked me to apologize. What I did was said that people suggested that I apologize, and I was wondering to my audience, did they think I went over the line? And most of my audience said no, but a couple said, yeah, you still shouldn't have said his kids. I was like, well, I'm not.
Even his audience was like, yeah, don't bring up his kids. Maybe don't bring up his kids.
I'm going to apologize. And I told Sarah that, and I was like, no hard feelings. If you can't have me back on the show, no problem. Totally get it. Not going to apologize. Apparently, some people made snide comments to Snare about this. I came on the next day and told my audience, don't fuck with Sarah. She didn't do any, it's fine. Ever since then, it's like things have been chippy. Now, she has, my audience always wants me to go on these panels. Okay, I'm going to go on the panel. Connor's there. Connor's talking about real conservatives.
That's kind of the end of it. Basically, he went on a panel. He says he gets paid. One of my favorite parts is, let's see if I can find this.
Interrupt you because I think you're wrong. So anytime I see that the reason he's interrupted, wrote it off in this sense. I said, he's the guest, and I'm
here. It is. So he wound up in a panel like after people didn't want to talk to him or they were over talking him, and here he started big leaguing. The irony of a YouTuber, like imagine me big timing somebody. I've got more, like we have more subscribers than Rob. We get way more views than Rob, and we're very small. Imagine like being my size and big timing, and then just think like Rob big timing.
Was the open panelist. Fine. Next time, I'm the guest, Sarah's friend Dusty, who came on my show in the call-in portion and got wrecked for lying about me. Dusty comes on the open panel. Same shit.
He's very weak shoulders.
Like, what the fuck? Now I'm like, why does this make sense? Now, here's the thing, right?
Here it is.
Sometimes you have to know where your bread is buttered. Do you think for a second Sarah would have let someone talk over Andrew Wilson like that?
Oh! It's the deep throating. Do you think, Sarah, that's how they view this too? Like, Andrew Wilson is not to be talked over. This guy works for Andrew Wilson, by the way. That's how he gets his audience. He'll admit it here in a second.
You think for a second, when she knows.
I have a serious question. Where's his neck? I think his neck is only Thursday and Friday. I don't think it shows up the rest of the week.
The majority of the financial donations I get are probably members of the Crucible. You think for a second? Of course not. We all know it. She ain't gonna leave Connor talk over him like that and brag about it. She ain't gonna leave Dusty talk over him like that and brag about it. By the way, that's okay. And I'm no Andrew Wilson.
You're not.
I'm not bringing her in the views and money that Andrew Wilson is. And it's kind of a smart business move. Don't shit where don't fuck over the person that's helping your channel out the most. I totally get it. I get that. And I'm not Andrew. Perfectly
all right. So apparently Andrew Wilson has now abandoned the Raging Tomato as well. And like Jen said, like, don't be surprised. I did reach out to Sarah. I did just check on her, see if she was okay. She did mention I could come back anytime. I still have no intention of going back. But that's what you get. That's what you get when you get in bed with any of these right-wing psychos. Any of these like alt-righters, Andrew Wilson, misogyny, like racist groups. Eventually they say like, I'm more important than you and I'm going to steamroll you, do what we want. So anyways, I just thought it was funny how he brought that up, how he's rewritten history to make himself the good guy for bringing up my child. Anyways.
It's his lie. It's his lie. He's got to tell it. So that's how it goes.
The thing is with Rob is like, he's been coping for so long that he just like, he believes this stuff now. When he says what he just said, I wholeheartedly believe it. I think that that's the case with like MAGA in general. That's the whole movement. They've lied to themselves for so long that they just believe it now. Nancy said, how do you fix a broken pumpkin? You know, Jen?
No, I don't.
It's a pumpkin patch.
That makes sense.
Amy Lynn said, stop with the cryptic codes, spill all the tea. Swish said, I don't like cocks, they suck, which seems backwards. It does seem backwards. All right, did we get all the tea out? There's all the rumors. I
I mean, there's probably more tea, but it's just we don't. I mean, we probably could do a whole show on tea, but
Let's not. Let's
I
not
mean,
involve.
you're more of an energy drink kind of guy, I think, than tea.
That's true. Speaking of which, I've got a C4 right here. We'll keep you guys posted on which right wing girlfriends I'm sleeping with. We'll keep an updated list. So we'll Jen will post that later.
Anyways, since I'm here and you made me nauseous, we are just getting going. As we all know, yesterday didn't go as the internet planned, so we're obviously a little bit behind for that gift goal. So if you guys could help us out, knock it out sooner rather than later. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking down that balance. This is our job, and this is how we get paid and feed our kids. That we don't talk about because we're not weirdos on the internet. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do that. We've got a members only event that we're going to start next Monday. So if you are a subscriber in any of these channels, a paid subscriber or member, you'll be able to join us for that. If you guys disagree with RTP, I think it's still it's still a little early for some. They're not here yet. So if you guys disagree with RTP, you can come up and talk to them. And how you do that is if you look at the Venmo username, that's my Discord. So you can message me on Discord and I can bring you up. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We got merch, Jay's on Cameo, and we upload these episodes to Spotify. What do you call it when a dog, this came from VTing in the server. What do you call a dog that swallows an engagement ring?
A dog that swallows an engagement ring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
A diamond in the rough.
Oh, RUF. Okay. It took me a second. I like that. Oh, wait. What happened with Millie? I don't know what happened with Millie. I can tell you this with Millie, just to bury that. Millie and I have engaged like maybe a couple of times. I don't remember what happened. It was I think it was when Jeff used to host debates. I was in the middle of something, and I think Jeff or Admir or somebody invited Millie. And so they brought Millie up on the panel, and she did that thing where she just immediately interjected. I tried to answer, and then she was like, she wanted to go a different direction. I was like, it's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I want to finish this debate. You're welcome to come up and debate anytime. Then she's like, then she basically went on a run she lives on it. If you bring up my name, she's going to tell you I'm afraid to debate her, which we've offered debates multiple times. She can come any Wednesday night. I've offered her moderated debate on other spaces where nobody controls the mute button except for the moderator. She won't do it. She only wants to debate if she can control the mute button, and I don't think she really does want to debate. But it's open. We've told her many times we're happy to debate. Everybody knows I don't do panels anymore. I don't go to those panels. They're kind of a waste of time. So yeah, she showed up with SK. Look, I think a lot of people looked at it like an ambush, but I really do think somebody invited her, and somebody was supposed to invite guests that night anyways. It just wasn't communicated to me at the time. So when she came up, I was like, I'm in the middle of this. She thought it was coming up for a panel. I actually understand why she felt like we were just silencing her, but like I didn't know that that's what we were doing, and I didn't want to leave the topic. But she's welcome to come debate anytime, and you guys can let her know. I think we figured out. I think this is the right one. Let me make sure. There's two clips I saw from the necessary conversation, and I don't remember if this is the right one or not. Let me check real quick.
Oh wait, I forgot. Hold on. What color is your hat?
Navy blue.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, this is the one. This is the necessary conversation. If you're not familiar with them, I forget his name, but he interviews his parents every week on a podcast, and his dad's a lunatic.
Do you believe 7 million people that showed up for this hate America?
Sure, I do. I think George Soros probably paid 20 million people, and half of them didn't show up.
Okay, George Soros paid 20 million people. How much did he pay each one of them?
Chad, that's right. His name's Chad.
Probably 20 to 50 bucks.
You think somebody's going to go to a protest for $20?
Yeah.
I don't.
These fools, yes.
I don't.
Because you know what's funny about this whole situation? All you goddamn lefties who think that you're trying to save democracy, you are what is killing democracy. You get on your goddamn Google and look up what democracy is. We've been in a democracy since Obama took over.
We're going to play the game with him. So I'm going to go to Google. We're going to look up democracy. I'm going to show you what it says. Here we go. Playing the game here. Democracy is a system of government where supreme power is vested in the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation, typically involving free and fair elections. Key aspects include citizen participation, protection of individual rights, and accountability of what leaders do. Apparently, we didn't have this until Obama, but that sounds pretty good. That we have citizen participation, protection of individual rights, and accountability of leaders to the people. Sounds like that's a good thing.
And I'm telling you right now, what we're trying to do is kill democracy and bring back the republic.
Oh, you confused me there a couple of times. You're saying Obama ushered in democracy?
No, he's the one who propelled it. He got help from George Soros.
I was thinking about this morning, and I don't know why it's never registered to me. I've always misinterpreted why so many Republicans come on here and say like it's not a democracy, it's a representative republic. I didn't have to Google democracy, Crow. He told me to Google democracy, so I Googled it. I was just doing what he told me to do. But I think the reason so many people say that is because one, they're repeating it, but two, I think it's by design. We know that the Heritage Foundation doesn't want democracy. They want to undo democracy. We know that the technocrats want to undo democracy. They don't like it. That's why they've created this distance and say, oh, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, which is a form of democracy, right? Like any democracy that has a constitution is going to take the form of a democracy. Everybody's constitution that involves voting is a little bit different. And ours is categorized as either representative democracy or a republic. It's still all democracy. But the reason that they have created that division, I think, is so that they can start getting people used to the idea that democracy is bad and that we don't want democracy and that democracy has failed. And then, of course, like the easiest way to do that is be like, you know who ruined it? Who? That black president? Oh, yeah. That makes sense. I do hate that black president. Makes perfect sense to me.
And the democracy that you're trying to save, if you'll go do your damn homework, you'll find out that most socialist and communist countries start out as democracies.
Yeah. That's kind of like what Marxism is. That's kind of like what Marx was saying, is that like his critique of capitalism through democracy is that eventually it ends and then people want more of a social safety net. So it's true. You have democracies that go full crony capitalist, and then oftentimes it turns into socialism, which is probably going to happen in America. It's on its way. I'll tell you, let me finish this, but I'll tell you this story.
And we need to kill the democracy and bring back the republic.
Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Because of course it is a form of democracy, but there is this division that I don't really think is solvable for a while. I've told you guys before about like the golf club that I go to. Real quick, Amy said some of them I've heard say democracy is a Democrat word. We're a republic like Republican. Okay. Phil says for prophylactics, gear up. Amy said stop with cryptic code, spill the tea. Thank you. I've told you guys that I go to I'm a member at a club that is almost exclusively Republican, and there's a guy there that if we don't talk about politics, I like him. His son also a member there. Same thing. If we don't talk about politics, I like him. But if we do talk about politics, they lose their fucking minds. Absolutely lose it. And I was in there. I was with a friend, and he had to take off, and so I just stepped in to grab a pizza on my way home, and I was waiting for the pizza. So I sat down with this guy, and I was just talking to him. I don't remember what we were talking about. I think we were just talking about the golf course, if I remember right. And then another guy came in and he got a hole in one, so he bought everybody a round of beer. So we had a beer and we were sitting there waiting for the pizza. Then another friend of mine came in, and another friend with his girlfriend came in. So I'm like, fuck, I'll just sit here. I'll share the pizza. We all sat there and ate pizza. the group, one group was talking. I was talking to one of my good friends, and we were talking about billionaires. He knows that like I consistently harp on billionaires, and he doesn't like that opinion. But he's not like a political person at all. I have no idea who he even voted for. But he likes to get right answers. I love conversations with him. They get kind of heated, but in a way where it's just like passion. It never boils over. So we're talking about Elon Musk, and he's like, "You're telling me Elon Musk is a billionaire and he's not like a genius?" So I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't think he's a genius." The other guy jumped in, and he just started screaming immediately about Mamdani and socialism. And it was so alarming to me to watch somebody hear me say something about Elon Musk, and their first reaction to that was socialism and Mamdani. This is like the Red Scare on steroids. They don't even know what the fuck they're afraid of. We tried to talk about like grocery stores. He was just screaming over me over and over. Everybody left. Like all my Republican friends around were like, "Dude, you got to shut the fuck up" to that guy. And I did call him a bitch in real life. So for anybody who says I wouldn't do that in real life, I did. It did end with me calling him a bitch and leaving. But I've thought about that ever since, like just how enraged it makes Republicans right now. Corner our lips. Sorry, thank you. I got cotton mouth. It makes them so angry right now when you talk about any sort of opposition towards them. And I've thought about that for the last few days. The best I can come up with is they don't have anything to say right now. It's confusing. They can't explain what Trump is doing. So it's just like their only option is like go at the left. Just go as hard as you possibly can at the left. I think if we've learned anything from Trump and populism, it's that if you attack good ideas, or if you attack ideas that are like broadly accepted by the people, you're going to really hurt. Donald Trump was able to like get a bunch of people in this country to fear illegal immigration. And it's because there were videos showing people at the border. It was extremely nuanced. Nobody understood that like our Congress was doing nothing to fix this, that it was being held up. And it was really easy to go to people and say, "Look what's happening at the border. Now go ask a Democrat if we should stop this." And when they asked us, we're like, "Yeah, we want to stop it, but you can't just stop it by getting a new president. You have to have legislation. We have to reform like our asylum laws. We need more judges. It's going to take a while. It's a broken system. It's going to take a while. But yeah, we'll fix it." People didn't like that answer. They want like a quick answer. Well, the answer right now is ACA subsidies are very, very popular. Medicare is popular. And everybody understands that this is going to cost them a lot more money coming up. And so for the Republicans right now, they're in a position similar to where we were when it came to immigration, except they also don't have an answer. It's not even like you take some time, like, "Oh, sit down with a Republican and let them tell you the answer." Mike Johnson every day is asked, "Do you have a health care plan?" And every day he goes, "We're working on it," which is exactly what they've been saying since 2015. We're working on it. We're working on it. We've got to open up. We've got to open up the markets. We got to have more free markets. And you know who they put in charge of it? Rick Scott from Florida, who at the time ran the largest Medicaid scam in the history of our country, and who has said, "I want to abolish Medicaid." Their whole idea is that somehow they're going to transfer this money that we take in, and we're going to transfer that to the private market. And I assume then they would say, "We'll take that money that we pay in Medicaid taxes and we'll continue to tax the American people, but we'll use it for other shit that we want." You guys, for the Republicans, I hope you get that. Like, if they cut Medicaid and Medicare, you would get nothing for it, but you'd certainly continue to pay those taxes. That's probably what they would use to try and pay down the debt. Just like let a bunch of people die and let's use those taxes to pay down debt. Why is it Mike Johnson opening up the House? I have no idea. I mean, Epstein. I guess I have some idea. Fuck you, unlawfully, Jay. Can't get me on the muted anymore. How many days has it been since I muted? Tons. Here was a good catch by David Pakman's team. I sometimes I see other content creators come up with stuff, and I'm working on this, but I get really jealous and kind of my pride is hurt when they catch something I didn't catch. I played this video of Eric Trump. I didn't catch what Pakman caught here.
We have another one of these, unless time travel is possible, you're a liar situation. Eric Trump went on Fox News, not known as the smart one, He goes on Fox News and he says, or
I don't think any of the Trumps are known as the smart one.
alleges that Special Prosecutor Jack Smith planted the manila folders in Trump's house that the FBI raid subsequently found. There's a little problem with that hypothesis, and I'll explain it to you in a moment.
Different than when they raided Mar-a-Lago. I talk a lot about that in the book because I was the guy that got the call from our teams. Obviously, I run the Trump organization. I got a call. The FBI is at the front gates of Mar-a-Lago. They have a search warrant, sir. And I go, why would they have a search warrant? What are they trying to search at Mar-a-Lago? I don't know, but they're demanding that you instantly turn off every security camera. Obviously, Mar-a-Lago is a commercial property, right? They're demanding you turn off your security cameras right now. And then, sure enough, we find out that
When I heard this, it didn't ring true because I remember specifically, I don't remember who Trump's attorney was at the time. They gave him advance notice and he was waiting for the FBI when the FBI got there. The attorney was there. I don't remember Eric Trump being there. It'd be weird that they called Eric Trump about Mar-a-Lago because this was an investigation into his dad, not their business. At the time, it didn't make any sense, but Pacman caught it.
Jack Smith is planting manila folders on the office of my father, taking these, glamorous photo shoots where he has them all fanned out like a turkey.
There's a little problem with that.
Was it Blanche just moi? Was it Todd Blanche at the time? That sounds right. Let's go with that. But if I'm wrong, let's blame just moi.
Problem, and it's like the problem is small. It's almost as small as Trump's hands. Jack Smith was hired months after the search warrant was served at Mar-a-Lago. Eric Trump goes, oh, we figured out Jack Smith planted the evidence they had against my dad. The only problem is the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago was in August of 2022. The manila folders were found in August of 2022. And Jack Smith was not appointed special prosecutor until November. It was 3.5 months later. So either Eric is lying, or he's confused again, or he has knowledge of a time travel device with which Jack Smith, I guess, was teleporting back to 3 months before he even got the job to plant folders at Mar-a-Lago. Every time that these guys open their mouths, they remind us they don't even have the basic timelines of events straight in their heads. They don't even know the sequence of their own scandals. They mash together buzzwords, raid, witch hunt, Jack Smith, deep state, manila folders, and they hope that their audience will go, yep, conspiracy. And sadly, a lot of their audience does.
That's true. Their audience does do that. It actually works for them. I'm just going to say, if you're going to run a family criminal organization, I would highly recommend having smarter kids. That's a good idea. Their audience will go with it, but their audience isn't who we need to worry about. We need to worry about does this make sense to somebody who doesn't understand politics? Probably not. Amy said, so now beef is going to be coming from Argentina, yet our beef farmers are hurting. China is getting soy from Argentina too, and we just gave them a $40 billion bailout, not the U.S. farmers though. Yeah, this is very simple. Trump is a dictator or wannabe dictator. He owes of all of these oligarchs his presidency. He's helping his friends get rich, and his friends are the oligarch class. And there's a bunch of investments in Argentina. There's a bunch of people who have bet on their currency. There's a bunch of people who have invested in Argentina, the same people who invested to get Donald Trump elected. And so Donald Trump is doing his friends a favor and keeping Argentina afloat while Americans here struggle because he doesn't give a fuck about anybody but himself and those that make it possible for him to continue to live the king's life. I think that's probably the most simple answer. Check out this ad. This was Alex Boris. He's running for Congress on the Democratic ticket to replace Jerry Nadler. This is the type of ad that I think is really effective. I don't usually show a lot of political ads, but I thought this was really effective.
As far back as I can remember, I've always wanted to stand up for the little guy. I'm Alex Boris, and after becoming a dad 2 months ago, that's never been more literal. My son may be the reason I'm up at 3 a.m. now, but the state of our country was keeping me up before. Someday, this little guy is going to ask me, who is America? What will I tell him? When I asked that question, my parents showed me. That's me on the picket line. My dad's union was striking for a fair contract with Disney and ABC. I learned that when all the little guys, like your family and mine, get together and organize, we're more powerful than anyone. So in college, I led a workers' rights campaign against Nike and saved healthcare for 1,800 workers. During the pandemic, I built software for local governments to distribute aid that enabled 50,000 families to keep their water on. And now I'm a New York Assembly member, where you'll find me every single Friday at a subway stop, talking to neighbors, finding ways to work together to take on the big guys and win.
Yeah.
We've increased fines on telemarketers, banned restaurant reservation piracy bots, and passed first-in-the-nation legislation to make AI safer. Because politics isn't just about fighting. It's about actually delivering. But right now, the biggest, baddest guys control our federal government. So I'm running for Congress, for little guys, here in New York and across the country, so we can deliver a better today and tomorrow. So join us, because this fight starts in just a couple more minutes. Okay, you're right. It starts now.
Some of these younger candidates are getting it. They're getting out on the streets. They're talking to people about things that matter to them. I think when it comes to commentary, I'm happy to do commentary. I think it's an important part of media. Obviously, there's people that have a much bigger impact than I do, but it seems like a lot like our Democratic leaders decided to become commentators rather than like speaking to the issues that might drive in the votes. I just you look at this new strategy, like this drives people in. You look at I'll recommend it a million times, but go watch that More Perfect Union where Bernie Sanders goes to West Virginia and understand that like the MAGA movement has no answers for these people. So it's our job to probably continue to criticize the administration, criticize our own party when necessary, but also our politicians need to step up and run ads like this and run campaigns like this. And I thought that was really well done. Natalie went to the protest this weekend, said the best sign, elect a rapist, you're going to get fucked. I like that a lot. All right. New York City is trash. Shut the fuck up. Where do you live? Where do you live, pal? Who said that? Matthew, what state do you live in? By the way, you're the one that said Trump is the boss, right? You're the one begging for the dictator. By the way, just a reminder, all of you that are here, any MAGA that's in the chat, anybody who disagrees with anything I have to say, you can request to come up and talk to me. You just message Jen, JENNDUBB1 on Discord, and she can bring you up. What'd you just say there? JD just lied about the Republican text scandal. Jen, will you find? Did that just happen? Let me know if we have that. All right, moving on here. I saw this morning. I'm not covering a lot of ICE stuff today, so I think this might be one of the only ICE videos we have, but I saw it right before we went live and I added it. Trigger warning, literally.
Get the fuck out of here. You're gonna shoot a pregnant woman? Yeah, you're gonna.
It's ICE pulling a gun on a pregnant woman. Obviously, you can see right there, they're chasing somebody. She's driving through. She's honking. All right, the road's not blocked off. You clearly can be there.
Get the fuck out of here. You're gonna shoot.
And then that. Whatever you want to say, I know Republicans don't mind because they assume that this person on the other end recording this is a Democrat and a Hispanic, so they don't give a fuck. But this is a federal agent who has no ability to detain or arrest this person or really direct this person to do anything, and has a weapon pointed at her face from 3 feet away. Hope we get all these people are going to be sued eventually. Like Trump can't protect them forever. All these, Christian nationalists, white nationalists, LARPers that come out here and are playing cowboy. It'll all come back to bite them. But this is the country that we live in right now, where you can be driving down the road and a federal agent will point a gun at you. For most I can see honking a horn. Like I guess if you honk a horn, that's a crime now. I don't know. Dude needs a red dot sight at 3 feet. Says a lot. Puts on his readers. I'm gonna get you. All right. Make America or make Argentina great again. Get it yet, dummies? There's people in Argentina wearing "Make Argentina Great Again" happens or hats. Sorry, I read something. Same all around the country. Trump bails them out and they love him. Trump gives them money, they love him. Trump takes money away from poor people in America. MAGA's like, yeah, that's right. Fuck those poor people. It's at least clear that some of the attacks on these boats coming out of Venezuela, at least some of them for sure are cold-blooded murder. At best, some of them might not be, but we don't have any evidence. But we do have evidence that some of them are cold-blooded murder. This is a new report. Colombian public media reports that a U.S. military strike on a boat on September 15th, the second attack on a vessel. TikTok just got taken down. Oh, probably because I showed the pew pew. Ooh, I probably just got banned from TikTok. I didn't even think about that. Jen, are we banned? Let me finish this, actually, Jen, and then you can let me know. Colombian public media reports that a U.S. military strike on a boat on September 15th, the second attack on a vessel by the U.S. in the Caribbean that we're aware of, was a Colombian boat and was in Colombian territorial waters. At least one of the three victims extrajudicially killed in the strike was Colombian lifelong fisherman Alejandro Carranza. Alejandro's identity is confirmed by his cousin. The Colombian boat was adrift and had its distress signal up due to an engine failure. And then we just took it down. That's how Pete Hegseth was able to finish that night. You guys like this, MAGA? Bad question. You love it. They're brown people. That's who we are now. I guess this is what you get when you have the greatest military in the world, or I guess like the most capable military in the world. That you get a bunch of people in the country who just like don't give a fuck. They're like, what are other countries going to do? We get to patrol. We get to police the world. And if we just extrajudicially kill people, it's fine. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Republicans calling Obama commander-in-chief. Or I mean, it's commander-in-chief. That's the book. The drone strike commander. Drone striker-in-chief. God, I'm really struggling today. You guys remember that? I remember that. I remember them talking about assassination of foreign leaders. Old enough to remember that. We love talking about innocent people until a Republican comes in and just starts blasting innocent people. We're not even at war with Venezuela. You look at the amount of drugs that are coming in. I think something like 87,000 people died last year from overdoses. Which was way down from, I think it was like 130,000 the year before. Like those numbers are actually coming down. But everything we know about the most deadly of those drugs, which is fentanyl, that's coming from China and from Mexico. Like this isn't about drugs. This is about wanting to go to war with Venezuela. This is about completely destabilizing Venezuela, which is also why we're propping up Argentina. Because we want Argentina to be able to step in and be the powerhouse there because they're loyal to our fascist president. Just some dude out there fishing for his family. Or fishing for his, I don't know if he has a family. Fishing for his livelihood. The boat, the engine fails on the boat. They put up a distress signal. Don't worry, the U.S. military is here to blow you out of the water. It's 160,000 died? I think it's 130. What was it? Let's see. I just looked it up this morning. I think it was like 80-something thousand. Let's look. I'll pull up the chat. If I got that number wrong, I apologize. Okay, that's through. Yeah, this is according to Wikipedia. They're getting it. Where are they pulling this from? Okay, this is from the CDC. I assume. What is it? Let's see. Yeah, that's from the CDC. They also have a second one from the Census Bureau. So two sources here from the Census Bureau and CDC. 81,000 deaths last year, 108,000. I actually undershot it. 108,000 in 2023, 110,000 in 2022, 109,000. So yeah, like we've actually seen a drop there. So who was we did never have 160,000. So you can see this. Obviously it's been a problem. It's been rising. And COVID, it got worse during COVID. Anytime that poverty goes up, drug use also goes up. Starting to see it level out. And as things got back to normal in 2023 and 2024, you saw those numbers come back down. So I don't know why we're going to war with Venezuela. Does somebody want to explain it in the chat to me? Why are we at war with Venezuela over this? And if we are at war with Venezuela, if they did this, then why did Trump give them protected status? Just confused by this. Where was 160,000 person? Did you come back? Did you apologize? JD Vance wants you to apologize. He's very into apologies. All right. Pete Hegseth was asked about this. Pete Hegseth, one, is dumb. Two, just doesn't give a fuck. Listen to the authority he's talking about here. By the way, Congress hasn't declared war on Venezuela. Trump hasn't been able to articulate why we're killing people. He hasn't been able to prove that the people that are being killed pose any threat to us or are even trafficking drugs. So I don't know what justification they're having, but we do have a constitution that says Congress has to authorize war. They don't. So the natural question to ask Pete Hegseth here is, what authority are you using to do this?
Mr. Secretary, what legal authority did the Pentagon invoke to strike that boat full of drug smugglers?
We have the absolute and complete authority to conduct that. First of all, just the
Where? We just have it. Where do you get that authority? We just have it.
defense of the American people alone. 100,000 Americans were killed each year under the previous administration because of an open border and open drug traffic flow.
Was there
Well, not 2024, right? Not 2024. There wasn't 100,000.
As an assault on the American people. I said we smoked a drug boat, and there's 11 narco terrorists at the bottom of the ocean. And when other people try to do that, they're going to be.
How do you know? Where's the to Republicans? I just want you to know, like, where's the evidence of this? You have become a group of people who don't ask questions anymore. You just believe. You just bootlick the government. You're telling me from like 2020 to 2025, you guys weren't talking about how we shouldn't trust the government. Now you're just fully trusting them. How do you know there were drugs? How do you know that those are narco terrorists? How do you know? Do you know? You don't. They've never given us any information to tell us. He might be right. He might be telling the truth, but we don't know that. So why won't you just join us and say, Pete Hegseth, you've got to tell the truth here. You've got to give us access to this information. You've got to explain to the American people why you're murdering people. We put you there. We voted for Trump. Trump put you there. You work for us. As much as you think you only work for Donald Trump, you also work for us. But some evidence would be nice, right, Republicans? I know you guys agree with that. I know you agree that our government should tell us why they're killing people. I know that you believe in transparency. And while he's telling you this, that like it just is what it is, he's also removing the press out of the Pentagon, and you guys are openly celebrating this. I know this isn't who you planned to be. I know this isn't what you voted for. You voted for transparency, and it's time for you to admit that you were duped. Last Wednesday, we only had one real debate, and it was with Pops. And that debate ended with Pops kind of saying, I might have been duped. It's time for you guys to admit that. And it's time for you to stop listening to those same people who are still telling you obvious lies. It is time for you to stop listening to people who get a microphone in front of their face and go, this is the most transparent administration in history. Bitch, what? By what measure? By what measure is this administration transparent? Paco Taco said, thank you for everything you do. Appreciated. Tanya said, what do you call a white or a witch that lives at the beach? A sandwich. Thank you. Leanna said, missed you yesterday. Missed you guys too. And Amy asked, is this Pete Hegseth's version of drunk dialing? I would imagine that all of Pete Hegseth's dialing is drunk dialing. He does talk like he's in a movie. Angry proletarian. He does talk like he's in a movie all the time. What's up, Jen?
So the ban, I think I submitted the appeal. It's likely a fair ban. So
yeah. Was it for the
yeah.
Okay. Didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So submitted the appeal, see if it comes back.
How long was the ban for?
I'm just looking at that because I realized right before unmuted myself that I didn't look at that. It looks like it's for.
Doesn't even say. It just says it got discontinued, huh?
It has an end date. I just I'll double check and see. But
I'm
make sure
looking
you're
at
reading
it.
the Venmo. We've got one from Courtney. So.
Oh, it'll be restored on the 24th. It says Friday at 10. Fuck. God damn it. All right, well, we'll figure that out. Guess we'll be on the backup with Admir tomorrow. I do realize we have CIs in Venezuela. Well, do you? Yeah, but that's the thing. Anna, like, we might have CIs in Venezuela. We might. Do we have evidence? Is there any evidence that those CIs would provide evidence, right? You wouldn't just kill people because a CI says, oh, this person is a member of a narco terrorist group, right? You would also need evidence. So wouldn't they be able to show some evidence? I'm just saying, you can say whatever you want. You can believe that Pete Hegseth was justified. What you can't do is change the narrative that they're not being transparent with us. You don't get to say that they're being transparent. You get to say, I trust you, Pete Hegseth. I trust you, Donald Trump. I don't think you'll tell me a lie. But you can't prove that that they're not killing people just indiscriminately. At least some of them we know were not narco terrorists. At least some of them. A CI is a confidential informant. We also have the CIA there staging a coup. Again, Trump did that the first time. He's doing it the second time. Shout out Eric Prince. And shout out America for training Eric Prince and then allowing him to go train all these mercenary armies around the world to fight and murder for capitalism. It's really cool.
Hold on. So Courtney, her Venmo said tea is her favorite.
Oh, thanks, Court. Did I not read that out loud? Sorry, I'd read that in my head.
No, you didn't.
All right, thanks, Court. Here's an example. This whole interview is great. This is Jonathan Karl, and I'll have a couple of clips from this where he interviewed Mike Johnson, but he was asked specifically about Pete Hegseth and transparency. And you just tell me, is this an acceptable answer?
But I just have to ask you what's happened at the Pentagon. Do you have a sense for why the Secretary of Defense seems to be afraid to interact with journalists who cover him?
I reject the premise. There's nothing. There's,
the guy,
fear is not part of the Secretary of War's makeup.
The guy's only had 2 briefings since he was.
Dude, his makeup, which ironically part of his makeup is makeup, because he wears, like, I don't know if we've ever had a Secretary of Defense have a makeup room until this one. But his entire ideology is fear. He's afraid of everything. He's afraid of immigrants. He's afraid of women. He's afraid of black and brown people. He's afraid of trans people. He's afraid of gay people. There's not much that he isn't afraid of. That's why he acts like such a tough guy, is because he's afraid of everything. He's the most afraid Secretary of Defense ever. This guy is terrified of everything.
Became Secretary of Defense.
He's very transparent.
And they've basically forced the Pentagon press out of the building unless they would agree to sign a pledge that would make it impossible to be an independent journalist.
I can't remember, and I don't think you can either, a Secretary of Defense who has been so transparent.
Yeah, everyone has been more transparent. He just says 6K at No Kings in Birmingham, Alabama is amazing. Awesome.
Out in the open, talking about priorities.
Oh, I can. I covered the building, and I traveled around the world with Secretaries of Defense. I interviewed them. I questioned them in the briefing room. Other reporters did as well.
But did all those secretaries come out and do public speeches as often as Hegseth does to be ever?
Public speeches are not transparency. Public speech, you can say whatever the fuck you want at a public speech when you don't take questions. This is how bad their arguments have become. He doesn't answer questions. He kicked out all the press. Yeah, but he does a lot of public scripted speeches. Oh, okay. That's more transparent then.
Where all the time among
where
the
he
troops
summons, but I mean, answering questions.
He's
and of course,
restoring.
you guys haven't brought him up to ask about what's happening in Venezuela.
Yeah, we're not in session because Chuck Schumer shut the government down, okay? We have a lot of things to do, but I will tell you this about the Secretary of War.
Everything is everyone else's fault. Keep doing it. Keep doing it, Mike Johnson. People's patience is going to wear thin. The Democrats seem to have a lot of patience right now, and they're not getting much pushback.
We are winning. We are restoring peace through strength. That's one of our core principles.
Don't you have questions for him about Venezuela?
What about
Don't you have questions for him about what's happening in Venezuela? We have this buildup around Venezuela. We have the targeting of these boats. I mean, you must at least have questions about this.
Targeting
I know
of the
we have
boats.
questions.
You have
but
drug cartels bringing in fentanyl in boatloads of it that would kill potentially hundreds of thousands.
There's almost no evidence that fentanyl comes in through boats. Almost none. I looked, like almost all of our drugs come through the borders and either at ports of entry, either through our southern or northern border or coming in on like ships. None of these little boats. These little boats aren't like this isn't 1980s Florida where you have like the drug running boats. The fentanyl is coming in almost exclusively at ports of entry.
Thousands of Americans. What we're doing is restoring.
You have no questions about how they're doing.
No, I believe in peace through strength. I think that the president and the commander-in-chief is in charge of ensuring national security and the safety of the American people. And I think most common sense Americans look at that and say, thank goodness. You take out one boat full of...
This peace through strength thing, it reminds me of the Crucible people and their force doctrine or force principle. There is a bunch of people in this world who believe that the only way to solve a problem is through violence. And that violence leads to peace. No matter what happens here, our actions in Venezuela have radicalized people against us. So even if you were able to like slow drug trafficking in Venezuela, that's going to be temporary, but it may lead to worse things. When you kill innocent people, or even if you just kill workers for a cartel, it radicalizes family members. It radicalizes people that support them. If you know anything about how the cartel gained so much power in Mexico, it's because, one, Mexico didn't take care of their citizens. Sound familiar? And two, the cartels did. Sound familiar? There will be people in this country after Donald Trump that are going to come in. If Donald Trump doesn't take care of the citizenry, there's going to be private groups that do, and those private groups are going to get a lot of power and loyalty. The loyalty to our government has been completely lost because they're not responsive to us. But every time we do this in every country, these regime change actions lead to more radicalization. They never lead to more peace. This is why Tulsi Gabbard was chosen. This is why you guys said that you loved Tulsi Gabbard. It's why you said that we rejected her. Because you're like, oh, you guys love regime change war. Well, no. I don't know. I think Democrats historically and Republicans have been involved in regime change war. But I do see that it's happening with this administration after they specifically campaigned on not doing this. And they're doing it everywhere. The difference between this administration and previous administrations is the level of corruption and who they're willing to get to do their bidding. So Trump can't always send in the military, so he might send in the CIA to do a coup. He might call his friend Eric Prince and say, hey, can you take one of your mercenary armies and destabilize this region? Make it look like there's I was reading about Sudan yesterday because I'm trying to catch up. But Eric Prince and his mercenaries' role in Sudan. They go in and they destabilize these places. They don't want peace. The truth is that our country needs war. Our country doesn't need peace. So what we've done is we've built this apparatus where virtually everybody's afraid to attack us. We're in a good position with oceans on both sides, and then we have Canada and Mexico at our borders who are, at least for now, our allies, and then we just go fuck everybody up. But this isn't going to help. This does nothing for us. This doesn't stop the drug trafficking. It does nothing for us. It's just going to radicalize more people. And it's going to destabilize Venezuela. And where are those people going to go? They're going to try and come here. And I guess that's what you say. Like, now Trump doesn't want to like stop destabilizing these countries, but he also doesn't want those people to come here. So now what he's going to do is he's just going to keep fucking up other countries, but he's also going to put our military on the border to shoot people if they come here. They can just die. He seems to have learned a lot from his friend Benjamin Netanyahu since the last time he was president.
Of fentanyl, you save hundreds of thousands of American lives. It was the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 49 during the Biden administration. We are fixing that, and that's why the American people put a strong commander-in-chief back in the office.
The American people didn't put a strong commander-in-chief back in office. Trump chose a Fox News drunken host to do that, and MAGA just went along with it. Diet Pepsi said, because fuck TikTok and Rob Norris taught us. I do feel bad about that. I do feel a little bad. All right. We didn't talk about this. We were going to talk about it yesterday. Let me just say this. Trump having that video of dumping shit on not Chris. What's the other guy's name? Harry. This one was weird for me because, like, you put yourself in a public space like Harry has and you're going to get some attacks. But this is the president. I can tell you how, like, just personally affected it has made me to hear Stephen Miller and prominent Republicans talk about how they're going to build a RICO case. And basically anybody who's opposition to the president, who calls him a fascist or points out the fascism, it could potentially be part of the RICO case. I know, like, personally how that affected me. I can't imagine having the online presence of Harry and wake up and see a video of the president using you and dumping shit on you. But obviously, Mike Johnson, who is having another press conference, and just yesterday, Mike Johnson stood in front of the American people, and they had blown up signs of people at the No Kings rally. They literally had their teams go through and find signs that they thought were offensive from the No Kings rally, and then they brought those signs in, and they showed everybody. They're like, look how bad the left is. So just keep that in mind when he says this about the Trump video. Keep in mind that yesterday he was very willing to get specific about certain signs, not videos, none of it from elected Democrats, none of it from people in power, just random people. We don't even know who made the signs. He was cool hosting an hour-long press conference going over those signs. But today, when asked about this video that Trump retweeted, suddenly Mike Johnson finds nuance.
Senator Johnson, you say that the Democrats had a Hate America rally, but what does it say that the President of the United States over the weekend released a video of him pooping on the American people?
The President uses social media to make a point. You can argue.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, we saw it. We already knew that part, Mike. How quickly they will go to, like, this random stranger had a sign that said, fuck Donald Trump. We're going to talk about it oh, they have him here. Actually, this is the same press. They still have him up. Maybe they brought him back. You have 8647. I think this one says, like, the only good, I don't know, maybe the only good fascist is a dead fascist. I think that's what that says. Now he's got nuance, though.
He's probably the most effective person who's ever used social media for that. He is using satire to make a point. He is not calling for the murder of his.
What's the point he was making? I just wanted to make a point that I am indeed shitting all over America. Is that what it was? Brought to you by the guy who says P-tapes are icky. I bring to you poo tapes. Vicky said Detroit No Kings is great, peaceful, and fun. Good. What are we doing here?
Political opponents, and that's what these people are doing. I mean, they're in one of these photos. I think there's a picture of the president hanging in effigy by a noose on one of these. The one on the far end.
Well, no, maybe Trump should pardon him. Last time I saw a noose at a massive rally against the government, that person got pardoned.
I mean, it's unconscionable.
Senator Johnson,
all right, so fine. We got nuance, guys. When random people at a protest hold up a sign, problem. When Trump shows a video of him diarrheaing all over the American people, just a little bit of good fun. On the topic of transparency, as again we got banned on TikTok today for showing a weapon, and should have thought about that. Here's Kristi Noem, who has been forced to play dodgeball at this point. If Donald Trump cared about people, he would not have chosen such a fucking dipshit. Or maybe it's brilliant. I haven't decided. Either she's just a dipshit and he didn't know, or she's so fucking stupid that he's like, she's the perfect person. Like, she's never gonna make sense. Nobody's ever gonna actually take her seriously. We'll put her in a serious position, and she'll say whatever dumb shit she wants. We'll never comment on it. And then we'll get to do what we want. I haven't figured out which it was. They might have chosen her because she is stupid. I'm not sure.
The fact that the media is not talking enough about the dangerous folks that you guys are catching and removing from the country. Do you think that might have something to do with the
She said that the media isn't covering the mistreatment of like ICE people enough, that they're always just focused on the people that ICE are going after.
The tactics, the masked ICE agents grabbing people out of cars and off the street or coming out of their immigration hearings. We've seen images of families, children are crying. It's just sort of shocking in this country, never having seen that type of thing.
No, I think that
basically she said, like, do you think that maybe that's because we've never seen our federal government in the streets pointing guns at people, arresting American citizens, breaking down doors without warrants, entering homes without warrants, just being absolute psychopaths in defiance of the law? Do you think maybe that's why they're not covering that these ICE agents are getting picked on?
our law enforcement officers are doing everything appropriately and correct to make sure people are brought to justice. And that's the opportunity that we've given individuals from day one, was that if they're in this country illegally, that they can come to us, we will pay them to leave this country $1,000 and buy them a plane ticket to leave. People get to keep their children with them. If they've committed a crime against individuals in this country, they will be brought to justice. They will be prosecuted for those crimes. We've been very clear about that, and I'm grateful for our law enforcement officers that in the face of danger are out there every day still doing their job and doing.
If you had to take like the totality of the videos of ICE people being in danger or ICE people being accosted versus ICE accosting people, like it's 50-1. Like they are like ironically the people breaking the most laws. Like legitimately, if you just take the actions, the people who are breaking the most laws per capita are going to be ICE. They're breaking every day. I watch them trample on the rights of American citizens and the rights of the people who are here, whether legally or illegally. Every day they do it. And we're talking about like, well, some of these people overstayed a visa. Some of these people snuck across the border. I just don't think the American people are buying that anymore, that that's worse than what you're doing.
What they can to make sure that they are safe, that they are doing it appropriately, and that they get to go home to their kids and their family members too. I think most people look around a room full of law enforcement officers, and sometimes the media doesn't tell the story that they all have families too, and that they deserve to go home that night and tuck.
I would have a hard time looking my child in the face if I was an ICE agent. It's true that they have a job to do. And it's true that if they did the job that they were hired to do, that I think that they deserve respect. But they don't deserve respect for going out and breaking the law. Frankly, like, sorry. You don't get to be a piece of shit and then use your kids as a fucking shield. You don't get to use your kids to avoid criticism. I'm not saying people like attacking their kids or their family. I'm sure somebody's been doxxed at some point, but like it doesn't come across my timeline. It hasn't been big enough that it come. And I've got a MAGA timeline and then like a following timeline. It doesn't come across mine. I haven't seen it. So I don't know.
Their kids into bed and to be able to get up and support their family and pay their bills as well. That's what today is.
Yeah, being an ICE agent is so dangerous. A grand total of 0 fatalities. But they got their feelings hurt. People call them bitches. People call them fascists. People call them Nazis, and that's worse.
9 months of law enforcement officers finally getting to do their job again, finally getting to do what they took an oath to do, and that's uphold the law and be fair and just in how they do that. And I'm so proud of the work that they've done.
She is just so very, very dumb, or just so very, very unapologetically evil. Maybe both. I don't know. I just haven't figured out, like, what she's doing is evil. The actions she's taking are evil regardless. I just don't know if she's smart enough to know. I honestly don't know if she knows the difference, if she could ever figure it out. So I don't want to say that she's not evil. I just don't know if she knows that she's evil. Is that fair? We're talking about alligator Alcatraz down there. What's hurt the big alpha man? That's true. They hurt. All right, let's talk about this. This was a Politico story. I'm just going to show you the hits, but Paul Ingrassia, Trump's nominee to head the Office of Special Counsel, had his text messages leaked. We didn't really cover the young Republicans, and I'm going to say basically the same thing. None of this surprises me. not because I think Republicans are racist or because I think Republicans say horrific things when they're in circles with each other, but because I know. Because I've been on these group chats when I was a Republican. This is what, especially if you live in an area that's like almost exclusively white and conservative, nobody even thinks about like, will these messages get out and are they harming people? Here's Paul Ignacia, right? That's how you say it. Ingracia. MLK Jr. was the 1960s George Floyd, and his holiday should be ended and tossed into the seventh circle of hell where it belongs. Now, I've seen a lot of Republicans actually come out and say that that's racist and he should apologize. It's also exactly what Charlie Kirk said. Like, nobody should be surprised by this. Let me show you the Charlie. I should have had this ready. I'll show you the Charlie Kirk clip. He said the exact same thing. I'm shocked by any Republican who's like, I can't believe they would say this. I can. Where's Charlie? Let's see. I think it's this one. I full screen that. I always forget how to full screen on here. Mute.
Beast, and that beast has now turned into an in the Civil Rights Act, though, let's be clear, created a beast, and that beast has now turned into an anti-white weapon. This topic would have been even more forbidden 4 or 5 years ago, but it's now becoming in more and more mainstream circles. Is that because the problem is becoming worse, or but our side is more courageous to confront it? Why does Kirk believe passing the Civil Rights Act was a mistake? Now, again, apparently they don't listen to the show because we do that at least once a week, right? Once a week we talk about why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. The present reality, not the ideal, the reality of the Civil Rights Act and how it's being used is making it harder for us to pursue excellence as a society. Here's a fact. Since the Civil Rights Act passed, I think that it's fair to say any sort of racist sentiments that are in America have gone, at least individually amongst white people, towards black people have gone away. What I'm trying to counter is the reason we talk about race so much is because we have a federal holiday to a guy that talked about race all the time. In the Civil Rights Act, though, it
wasn't the one I was looking for. Let's see if I can find it here. The one I was talking about, he did like, let's see, MLK Day. Let's try that. Whoops. MLK Day, Charlie Kirk. It's everybody just reacting to it. It's harder to find Charlie Kirk stuff now. Now that there's all these like memorials to him. I don't know. I'll try and find it. Jen, if you could find it, let me know. Well, it's no big deal. Oh, this might be it.
True. The country, Kirk describes King as, quote, a bad guy. It's true. The country made a mistake when it passed the Civil Rights Act. Also true. Once a week we talk about why the Civil Rights Act was a mistake.
Yes, Charlie.
That was it. At one point on Martin Luther King Day, he goes after this. This is one of those conversations I had, ironically, with Mr. Jones on the day that Charlie Kirk said that. We had a show, and I wasn't exactly sure how to cover it. We had a really long conversation about that before I knew he was a complete and total phony. But yeah, nobody should be surprised. This is mainstream stuff. The one where he calls MLK a scumbag, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. It's and by the way, the FBI tried to take down Martin Luther King. The criticism of him is that he was a womanizer. I have no idea if those are true or not. I've never sourced it because I don't fucking care. But that's what the FBI said, is that he was a womanizer. That's the criticism, just so we're clear, like why Charlie Kirk shouldn't be celebrated. He's a womanizer. And these same people like put on a Trump hat. It's so selective. But no, don't be surprised. This one, I do have a Nazi streak in me from time to time. I will admit it. Says Paul Ingracia. In July, never trust a Chinaman or an Indian. Never. I bet JD Vance probably called Paul Ingracia after that. I said we're making Kwanzaa illegal in the next Trump admin. That was the gist of my tweet. No, I don't know what that word is. Molignan, is it that how you say it? Molignan holidays, from Kwanzaa to MLK Day to Black History Month to Juneteenth. Every single one needs to be eviscerated. What is that? What does that mean? Molignan? Guys, what does Molignan mean? I've heard it. I don't think I know what that word means. Oh. 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 It just means a black person. Used by Italians in the United States, it's a corruption of melanzane, the Italian word for eggplant. Or moulignan. Oh. Oh, it's worse than I thought. So that just means no holidays for black people at all? All right. Black in Italian slang, thank you. It's on the screen. Moulignon. That's it. Nobody should be surprised by any of that. But they're not going to talk about it. They're just going to move on. It'll probably pass confirmation. None of this matters. You can like the Secretary of Defense said, I want to kill all Muslims. No problem. Push right through. This won't hurt him a single bit in the GOP. Not one bit. Not one person's going to change their vote over this. JD already ran cover for Paul. Did he really? Fuck out of here. Did he really? Let me look it up. I haven't seen it yet. I don't see it. Is there a clip? What did he say? I'm looking. You're saying melange? Wait, but where did JD Vance say? Was it an interview or was it a tweet? I'm looking for it. I know he's I saw the one about the young. Are we just confusing?
Focus on
Are you
what
thinking
kids
of
say in
this?
group chats, but there's another angle to this that I just have to be honest about. I mean, I'm like an old guy at this point. I'm 41 years old. I have 3 kids. You know, I grew up in a different world, right? Where not most of the stupid things that I did when I was a teenager and a young adult, they're not on the internet. Like, I'm going to tell my kids, especially my boys, don't put things on the internet. Like, be careful with what you post. If you put something in a group chat, assume that some scumbag is going to leak it in an effort to try to cause you harm or cause your family harm. But the reality is,
this is a different group chat. I see what you're saying. Yeah. This was him calling a bunch of 40-year-olds kids as locker room talk. The reason that all of them come out this way is this is how they talk to each other. This is not unusual. This is how Republicans in white areas talk. This is how everybody talked when I was where I grew up. Now a lot of them have grown out of it, but the kids still talk like that. This is when the drinks start flowing. When I used to hang out on the patio with my Republican friends after golf, which I'm not allowed to hang out anymore. By the way, it's actually a pretty wild thing. Like, I'm not allowed in certain groups simply because my presence makes people so angry with their politics that they freak the fuck out and it almost causes fights. And so I'm not even allowed in those groups just because I have a different opinion. But like, this is what they say. None of this is pretty mild for what they do. I know that people who don't speak like this are shocked, but like the reality is these are on text. This isn't them at their worst thinking the text would never get out. This is them like still hiding some of themselves. They're not outright like saying the N-word. It's a little bit coded because it's in a group text, but like get outside of that group text and this is how they talk. What's alarming, perhaps more than anything, is watching the Republicans that are in charge just go, no, it's no big deal. I don't have a problem with that. I don't think you're going to keep winning votes that way. We'll see. It's nowhere near what they say in person. Yeah, nowhere near. Second meeting with Russia in Budapest has been called off. Did they say why? I bet Trump's mad that Putin canceled another date with him. Trump gave such a performance for Putin. He yelled at Zelensky and everything. What a bully, Putin. You're mistreating your side piece, Donald Trump. Maybe he's mad because Trump's been spending too much time with Bibi. Feels like his side piece is unloyal. All right. Speaking of violence and things that we're definitely not going to talk about, here's a breaking story that Mike Johnson will react to in a second.
Breaking news, CBS News has learned that a pardoned January 6th rioter, Christopher Moynihan, has been arrested for allegedly threatening to kill House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Court papers show that Moynihan was arrested on Sunday ahead of a Monday appearance from Jeffries at the Economic Club of New York. Christina Fan is live in Midtown with more on this. Christina?
Well, Chris, as you just stated, according to those court documents, Christopher Moynihan was arrested on Sunday after allegedly writing in a series of text messages that he wanted to, quote, eliminate House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries when the Democrat was scheduled to speak at a Midtown event on Monday. In the chilling text messages, Moynihan allegedly wrote, quote, I cannot allow this terrorist to live, and, quote, even if I am hated, he must be eliminated. I will kill him for the future. He now faces a felony charge of making a terroristic threat. Moynihan was convicted back in 2022 of obstructing an official proceeding for his role in the January 6th Capitol riot. These photos from the prosecutor's sentencing memo show him on the Senate floor after breaching police barricades. Moynihan was pardoned by President Trump 9 months ago, along with more than 1,500 other Capitol riot defendants who were granted clemency hours after Trump returned to the White House.
Oh, shit, I muted. No! No! I bragged. I shouldn't have bragged. Why did I do it? Fuck. Ah, you called it too. This gum loses its flavor so quick, so I have to keep switching out my gum, and I mute it so you don't hear me chew it. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, this is a J6 defender or a rioter that was pardoned by Trump, who now is just like, hey, I'm gonna go after Hakeem Jeffries. Yeah, shocker. The people who were willing to storm the White House to hang Mike Pence are violent.
Moynihan is not the first pardoned Capitol rioter to be arrested on new separate charges, but he is the first to be charged with making a violent threat against a member of Congress. He is scheduled to make a court appearance Thursday in Dutchess County, New York.
Cool. So naturally, Mike Johnson is going to talk about this, and he's not going to talk about everything but this. Naturally, he's going to have a real good response.
Jeffries. This is one of a number of individuals that were pardoned as a result of January 6th who have been rearrested on various charges. Did President Trump make a mistake by just offering up a blanket pardon for every single person that was convicted as a result of
I don't know any of the details of this at all. I don't know who's been alleged to have been involved in this. I will say that anybody who threatens political violence against elected officials or anyone else should be have the full weight and measure of the Department of Justice on their head. I trust that that'll happen.
Just remember, again, you have signs behind you. You spent an hour condemning what somebody wrote on a sign. You called a special press conference to talk about a sign from individuals that you can't even name. You were very clear on that. You brought the pictures, you talked specifically, and now we don't want to get specific.
And I hope it will. We are intellectually consistent about that, obviously. I will tell you this.
Yeah.
The violence on the left is far more prevalent than the violence on the right. Don't make me go through the list. You all
go through your fucking list. Let's go through your list. Tyler Robinson doesn't seem to be on the left. The Butler attempted assassination doesn't seem to be on the left. The guy in Florida, he voted for Trump. We sure? What it seems like is that these are people who were on the right who got pissed off at you. You ran them out of the right. Trump ran them out, and they got very upset with him because he sold them a bill of goods that he couldn't deliver on. He got them all pissed off about all these conspiracy theories, and then once he was in office, he just helped out his billionaire buddies. If you want to look at the track record, all of these people that seem to be going after you folks, we're on your side and you pissed him off. That's not our fault. We didn't piss him off.
I'll know it. All of these the assassination culture that's been advanced now, this is the left in almost every case that is advancing this and not the right. So let's not make it a partisan issue. You don't want me to go there.
I do want you to go there. I would love you to go there, because right now what we're talking about is somebody who already did political violence, went to jail for it, and your dipshit president then pardoned him. Right? So we do want to talk about it, Mike. Please.
We're just going to say anybody, any deranged individual, this has to stop. And the rhetoric that you saw on display on Saturday, we highlighted yesterday, it plays into this, okay? There are people that get triggered. There are deranged people in society when they hear elected officials participating in a rally that was paid for by Soros and sponsored by communists.
Let's talk about that. What's their evidence that it was paid for by Soros? No evidence. Tomorrow, I think we're going to watch the Glenn Beck presentation of this. It's going to take up most of the live. It's unfucking believable. No evidence of that. However, remember that time a bunch of your folks stormed the Capitol? Who funded that? Did Charlie Kirk fund that? Did Turning Point USA fund that? Did Save America PAC fund that? Was it all dark money groups? They got the permits. It was all right-wing funded groups that did January, and we could prove it. It's been proven. Charlie Kirk's on video, like he's admitted that, yeah, like I brought the people there. But Charlie Kirk's like, well, I didn't tell him to go to the Capitol, so my hands are clean. But if Mike Johnson was using that logic, then the hands wouldn't be clean, right? However, they have connected $0 to George Soros for any of this. I don't know anybody. Like, you would think that I've reached out to a couple content creators who, like, I know have gotten money from PACs before or gotten money from the DNC. Just a couple. I told them I wouldn't say their names. I just asked if they've been offered anything, if they get anything for covering or to go cover those rallies. Not one of them. And they're transparent about the other money they've got. At least with me, they are. I don't know to their audiences if they spill it. I don't watch, but I know to me they're transparent. I don't know anybody who got paid for this. I don't know anybody who funded it, but I do know that January 6th was very coordinated, very funded, very planned. I do want you to run down the list, Mike.
With signs and placards and mantras that were repeated that we should bring death to, fascist politicians. What they mean is they call every Republican a fascist now.
Well, you guys are fascists, in all fairness. I don't think we should chant that fascists should die. I don't like that. If those chants were happening around me, I would not participate in those chants. But like your people chanted, hang Mike Pence. So like, if we're doing it, if we're going to play the game here, Mike, let's play it. The real fucking problem is that these are all children. They are all petulant little bitch ass children. Almost everybody in Congress, no matter the side. Like, you know what the fucking problem is, Mike? You guys gave everything to Trump. So there's no longer separate branches of government. You said he can do whatever he wants. So the Democrats are going to fight that, and you're going to fight for Trump, and all of us are fucked. All of us are just stuck in the middle. You guys have decided to do this partisan shit. You guys have decided that you're going to play politics at every fucking turn. Every fucking turn you're going to play politics. And while American people are suffering, you're just going to point across the aisle and be their fault. Any politician who's doing that, I've got a real problem with. Give us some solutions. Tell us what your ideas are. If we don't know what your ideas are, how do we support you? I applaud those that are going out with ideas. Show me the Republican, by the way, that has an idea other than just take it. You lost the election. I'm seeing plans from Democrats. I've read their plan for healthcare. There's no plan for Republicans on healthcare right now. They just want to play politics. That's the problem here. And that problem is also us. If you're a Republican and you have the opportunity to vote for Mike Johnson, and you do, it's your fault. Vote for somebody else, even if it's a different Republican. Vote for somebody who will go out there to legislate. But this is where we're at. Like, the American people almost expect this. It's become like, I don't see what Mike Johnson does and what any prognosticator or any like talking head on CNN does. They all do the same thing now. They just go out there and they talk politics. None of them ever do, like, he's not doing any legislating. He's not doing any deal making. They have said specifically, we're not willing to make a deal here. The Democrats just have to do what we tell them to do, and we're going to blame them the whole time. And until they do exactly what we tell them to do, the government's going to be remaining closed. That doesn't benefit the American people. And what they're arguing over, like it only hurts Americans. There is no benefit to a single person in this chat if the Democrats cave right now. You will get no benefit. You won't see better wages. You won't see lower prices for your health insurance. You will get absolutely zero benefit from this. However, millions of people will benefit if the Democrats win this negotiation. What kind of American are you? Like, are you America first? Or are you Republican first? Are you MAGA first? Because it seems like all of you guys are MAGA first. It seems like it's just about wins and losses. You'll take the L in your personal life as long as Daddy Trump takes the W politically. This is a bad deal for Republicans. And the longer this drags out, the more people are going to understand it. That one party is saying, let's take care of people who need help. And the other party saying, not only let's not take care of those people, let's fuck up some other people who right now don't need government assistance, but we're going to fuck them. We're going to fuck them right up. They're not going to be able to afford health care anymore. And so now they'll just be one emergency visit away from bankruptcy. And who's going to come in and buy that house? Probably one of their Republican donors. This is so goddamn transparent that if you guys would wake the fuck up for 2 seconds, if you would just legitimately spend a week and say, if I can't respond to anything by saying Democrats, I can't say Chuck Schumer, I can only talk about ideas. If you took a week and said, I can only talk ideas, you would come out of that week realizing these guys offer you absolutely fucking nothing. You might not like the Democrats, you might not like a lot of our policies, but they're advocating for things that will make your life better. And these guys are not. They're advocating for their buddies. They want your house. If you live in a house, if you own your home, Republicans, and you're here, they fucking want it. And they don't want it for themselves. They want it for their friends. They want you paying money to their friends all the fucking time. You know what never happens? You never stop paying rent. You can stop paying a mortgage. You pay off your house. You have this asset that you're sitting in. It's great. There's your retirement. You have a house. There's retirement. But all this other shit that Republicans are doing, it's not for you. None of it's for you. At this point, you're only arguing with us because you want Donald Trump to win this dick measuring competition.
They're calling for the death of elected officials. Please, enough of that. We got to stop it. Stop the rhetoric, stop all the nonsense, and
But
stop
what about
the
the
violence.
blanket pardon, sir? Was that the blanket pardons? Was that
Look,
appropriate?
I'm not going to address it because I'm not sure of the details of this, and I think we've said enough.
Yeah, he knows the details of signs, but no details on people threatening the lives of politicians from the Democrats. By the way, if this person existed, if it was completely flipped, it would be everywhere. All Fox, CNN, MSNBC, anybody would be talking about is this. And every Republican in the chat would be being like, denounce this, denounce this, denounce this. You guys won't denounce this. You guys are scum. You're actually the violent. Denounce this, denounce this, denounce this. And then when it's time to flip that around, you're like, no, dude, it wasn't Trump. It wasn't me. I had nothing to do with that. You know, some people are just crazy. Yeah, he blamed the Dems. Of course he blamed the Dems for the rhetoric. All right. I want to refresh you. This is a video of a montage that ProPublica put together. Sometimes I forget that not everybody's here every day. Not everybody's followed the deep dive. So I think it's important sometimes, and I appreciate a couple people who reached out, that when we talk about things like Project 2025 and Russ Vought, to constantly give people a reminder of like who these people are. This is about a 3.5 minute video. And I just want to remind you guys who Russ Vought is. God, and I'm gonna get killed on this. It's gonna be edited out for the music, but.
Join us now, Russ Vought.
Russ Vought. Russell Vought, director of the office. I tell people when Russ Vought speaks, it's like a papal bull. You should pay attention.
He's more than just Donald Trump's budget guru.
He has two very clear goals: to make the presidency as powerful as it's ever been, and to dismantle as much of the federal bureaucracy as he can.
Let's see. Sorry. Amy said, out of the last 273 days, Congress has been in session for 22 days. Tell the motherfuckers to get to work. And also, maybe he's mad because Melania was meeting privately with Putin.
People have referred to him as
the shadow president.
We are Christians who are nationalists. We are people who believe that we have a Christian nation. Right now, churches have all of this talk about love your neighbor, and they don't have any ability to say, no, we do not want that group of refuge coming from that country that is dominated by Sharia law. We don't want
those fucking churches telling you to love your neighbor. What the fuck is wrong with these churches these days? It's the Christians. It's those loving Christians, the ones that are following the teachings of Jesus. Those are the people who are really fucking this up for us. Swin, thanks for the super chat. And I missed these two as well. Danielle said, is loud laughing allowed in Hawaii, or is it just a low? That's solid. Danielle said, lost my dad to the MAGA cult. Can't even talk to him anymore. It's insane. And as always, go Bills. I'm with you there. Thanks, Tim, for the super chat.
His vision, his plan, his ideas, straight to the grassroots.
Wait a minute. What do you mean, of course, the Democrats don't like Christians? This guy's not a Democrat. Is a Republican criticizing the Christians. Do you know that? Uh-oh. Somebody help. These are Republicans. Russ Vought works for Trump. He's the one that doesn't like Christians.
Honor all the work that Russell Vought has been doing. Those Thursday calls, I look forward to every week.
He has this weekly briefing call with anyone who is a supporter who wants to tune in.
We have largely failed to turn back
Russ Vought is nice.
The overwhelming tide of government.
These recordings really give you a view of the way he thinks about strategy.
So when you're watching television and the words woke and weaponized come out of a politician's mouth, you can know that that's coming from this call, that's coming from the strategies that we're putting out and trying to shape the narrative.
I didn't know that. You know, all you people, all you Republicans here that you keep talking about a woke and weaponized government. Wonder, did you know that you got it from him? No, you didn't. You thought you came to this on your own, didn't you? You thought that this was just like common sense, that everybody came to this together, and you just, those words woke and weaponized, those were your words. Those were the things that you were thinking. It wasn't placed in your head by a dark money group who was pushing that messaging out through political commentators so that you would use this rhetoric. Isn't that weird? Did you guys? Is it just irony that you guys are saying the exact words that Vought was bragging about? We're going to get everybody to say woke and weaponized. They're not going to know what woke or weaponized is. We're just going to say it. And that way, by the way, this is part of Project 2025. Part of the reason they wanted to say weaponized, woke, and weaponized is so that when they came in office and they started doing things that appear to be unconstitutional, they say it's just a response to what you guys did. Right? And you'll notice that the response to what you guys did is never a government action. What do they talk about all the time? They talk about COVID, right? They talk about censorship on social media. Those were private companies. Did the government pressure them? Sure. Did they force them? No. If you're going to be upset, you can be upset at the government for pressuring them, but ultimately, like, the ownership is on social media, and social media only took those words down because it was going to affect advertising. And most of it, by the way, was like crazy stuff. Like, this was designed by the Jews to take everybody out. It's like, yeah, we don't want that on our site. Now they don't give a fuck. But all the stuff you accuse of being weaponized against you, it's never weaponized against you. Donald Trump got investigated for a bunch of crimes that he absolutely committed. All these J6ers went to jail for crimes that they actually committed. So now you've become people who invented a woke and weaponized government that wasn't happening. And now you're ignoring all of the things that this government is doing to strip your freedoms, and you're using the justification of woke and weaponized government. None of you can explain it. None of you can explain like where the government censored you. I'm happy to see it in the comments, but could you just tell me where the Biden administration censored you? Can you show me a place where the Biden administration used their government authority, not influence, authority to silence voices? Can you show that anywhere? Because we could spend an entire day from the last 10 months of Trump silencing voices of opposition. We could spend all day talking about that. This was all by design. Get all these dipshits worked up and think that they're under attack and that this government, this Biden crime family that is woke and weaponized. Why? Did they come after any of you? No. None of you had the government coming after you. None of the prominent people in your party did. Just Donald Trump and the people that were around Donald Trump. Isn't that ironic? It was just the people around him that were committing crimes with him. And most of them pled guilty or went to jail or lost their law licenses. Turns out they were committing crimes. And Trump didn't have to suffer for those crimes because he was the president. And the Supreme Court ruled, fuck it, he can do whatever he wants. Things are illegal if you do them for the president. But if the president asks you to do illegal things, then he's not in trouble. Just you if you do them.
He had success getting these ideas.
Did you see we get to spend $200 million on new private jets for Kristi Noem? I did see that for those. Yeah, I did. I was trying to figure out. I think I must have got distracted. I was looking up why do they need these planes. I don't know what they need these planes for. If anybody knows, let me know.
Ideas into the bloodstream of American politics.
Crooked Joe's DOJ is woke and weaponized.
Woke and weaponized bureaucrats at the department.
This woke and weaponized government has to be defanged.
Russ can tell he's a very imperfect instrument, right? But he's an instrument of the Lord. He's an instrument of the Lord for his vengeance. Okay.
We think about Bannon and Vogt.
It's so crazy how they talk about people being weapons for the Lord. Like the Lord is all powerful. They don't need some evil weapon. This is how MAGA has like justified Trump. Go talk to your MAGA family and talk about like the problems with Trump and the non-Christian part. And they'll say the same thing. Oh, well, that's how God works. He works in mysterious ways. You know, he takes these imperfect people. Well, what a convenient thing to say if you're a fucking psychopath and you need somebody to back you up. Just be like, I'm imperfect, but God chose me. Right? Isn't it weird that God can do anything? He flooded the whole world. Remember that? I think he can do, from what I understand, he's able to do anything, but he needs like these evil people to be his weapons. God needs weapons. I remember something about turning the other cheek. I don't remember a whole lot about Jesus being like, if they persecute you, find the most evil motherfucker to go out there and murder them back.
As surrogates of Trump. When you hear Bannon describe Trump as an instrument of God, you start to think that maybe it's the other way around. That Trump is an instrument that Vogt uses, that Bannon uses, or in their view, that the Almighty uses toward this longer term agenda.
The stark reality in America is that we are in the late stages of a complete Marxist takeover of the country.
Not a single fucking Marxist in Congress. This is how stupid you have to be to follow somebody like Roosevelt. They just say these words and like, oh, okay. They scare you into believing there's this big takeover, this ideological takeover, and the only way to stop this ideological takeover is with an ideological takeover. Like, Joe Biden's a communist? He's a Marxist? Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, those are Marxists? That's the takeover that's happening? But since none of you know what those words mean, they just have to say it to you and scare you, and you're like, look, they're doing it, so we have to do it. We don't want to do an ideological takeover, but we have to do it to stop theirs. This very real thing that's definitely happening. This Marxist takeover that nobody can identify like who's running it. George Soros is running, because that's what George Soros wants. George Soros, the billionaire, wants socialism, wants Marxism. Sure.
We are here in the year of 2024. A year that very well, and I believe it will, rival 1776 and 1860. And guess what? We have in Donald Trump.
It's the hyperbole for me. Like, this is so important. This will rival the importance of the founding of our country and the Civil War. All right. Yeah, this is so important.
A man who is so uniquely positioned to serve this role. A man whose own interests perfectly align with the interests of the country. That is nothing more than a gift of God.
Yeah, Trump is a gift of God because his interests perfectly align with the interests of the country. He's made like $10 billion. He's decimated the farmers. He's destroyed it. All because these people are afraid of people that are different than them, whether it's skin color or sexuality or genitalia. They're just all deathly afraid. And they've convinced all their other afraid people, all the Republicans, that this big mean monster is very real. And you have to turn over all your power to these folks. It's the only way, guys. You just gotta be cucks. FOD said child cancer. Nah. Trump president. Yes. Sky Dad.
Transition portion of the Project 2025, we have detailed agency plans. We are writing the actual executive orders. I don't want President Trump.
Catch that? They're writing the executive orders. We've said this before. Trump is all. Nobody seems more surprised by an executive order than Donald Trump. They hand it to him. He's like, what does this thing fucking say? And then they tell him what it says. He's like, nice. This one is going to be a good one. Guys, this one's going to be really good. And then he signs it and he takes a picture. He's like, this is a good one. They wrote them all. And they wrote them before he was president. They were all pre-written. You ever heard of that before? You ever heard somebody just openly take credit for, like, I'm writing all the executive orders for the president. He just does whatever we say.
Having to lose a moment of time having fights in the Oval Office about whether something is legal or doable or moral. If we fail, this election will have bbeen for nothing.
The golden age of America begins right now.
Frank, I would never be a Republican if these were your values. Here's my theory on the idea that you become more conservative when you get older. It's because you get lazy when you get older. You think you know everything. You think you have world experience, and you start relying on dumb shit like common sense, and you forget to learn new things. Right? It is harder. Like, you got a lot of shit going on. Learning new things is difficult. You've got a life. You've got a family. I think the reason people become more conservative as they get older is they just like quit evolving. They quit advancing. They're like, enough is enough. I'm too busy to learn new things. But I also want my opinion to matter. So I'm just going to stick by these, and I'm going to start calling them beliefs. It's a weird thing, like saying, like, I believe in low taxes. Well, that's really fucking stupid. Like, why would that be a belief system? I believe in lower taxes. Well, what if we have expenses? What if we have to cover those expenses? We need to pay more in taxes to cover those expenses. No. I only believe in keeping all of my money. That's my belief system. I want all the spending, but I don't want to pay more for it. I believe in lower taxes. You guys have created a belief system out of like, and you've had to be that. Like, you've had to turn it into a belief system because it doesn't fucking work. Right? Like, Ronald Reagan did all this shit. It doesn't fucking work. And so now you have to resort to, it's a belief system. It's just my beliefs. I vote based on what I believe. I believe in lower taxes. I believe in a safer America. I believe in more freedom. Yeah, none of that. Like, articulate that, please. Lower taxes? Your taxes have went up under Trump. Everybody's taxes have gone up under Trump. We have tariffs now. Like, just collectively, our taxes have gone up. You believe in more freedom? You've never had less freedom. I mean, you guys have the freedom to say what you want, but Americans as a whole, we have less freedom. I don't like fighting foreign wars. I don't like sending all that money to other countries. So what did we do? We took all the money that we were giving to countries for like food and medical care and building up their infrastructure. We're like, fuck you guys. Instead, here you go, Ukraine. Here you go, Israel. Here you go, Argentina. We'll hand it to the rich people. We'll hand it to the people that are in charge of a genocide. Let's do that. You don't have beliefs. They just have told you that so that you'll stop asking questions. But that's how you wind up being 50 years old and conservative. Is whenever you just quit. You just stopped evolving. Show me every conservative argument that you guys bring to me, I heard in 2012. They were the same. When I was a Republican, I was saying the exact same shit. You haven't evolved. Your healthcare, you still don't have a healthcare plan. We've been waiting for your healthcare plan since 2012. Still don't have one. You have no plans. They just tell you that you want to be taxed less and have more freedom. And that's generic enough for you. You're like, yeah, that sounds good. The Democrats, they must want to tax me more and give me less freedom because we're the opposite. See how easy it is to dupe you? And then you don't realize what happened. See how easy that is? Freedom to die from childbirth. Yeah. Argentina is 100% intentional. That's going to be us under Trump soon enough. Yeah, like, look, Trump has said this when it came to Argentina. I may have it. He basically told them like, well, they're struggling. You guys don't know what you're talking about. They're struggling. I'm saving them. No, he wants their loyalty. The easiest people to make loyal are the ones that depend on you. Trump wants you to depend on the government. The autocrats want you to depend on the government. Russ Vogt wants you to depend on the government. They're just lying to you to get you there. They're just telling you like, oh, the government is a problem because they're woke and weaponized. Now we're the non-woke, non-weaponized one. So give us all of the power. And you're like, okay, as long as you're not woke and weaponized, here's all my rights. They don't want you to own a house. They don't want you to collectively bargain. They want you to live as close to poverty as possible. They want you paycheck to paycheck so that whatever's left over at the end of every month is going into their pockets. They want to keep all of that money. Has nothing to do with government, has nothing to do with wokeism, has nothing to do with a weaponized government, has everything to do with the fact that this current government has their pockets lined by a bunch of people who want to end democracy. And it's bleeding in. We started the show with the necessary conversation where you're starting to hear Republicans now openly say, we should get rid of democracy. Democracy has failed. Let's get rid of it. That's some Curtis Yarvin shit. That's some Peter Thiel shit. That's some J.D. Vance shit. They've all basically said that. The democracy has failed. We just need to give our power to smart people. Then everything's going to be A-okay. Which, like, I guess you could say that might work, but you're not giving it to smart people. You're giving it to people who aren't going to pay for your health care. They're not going to make it easier for you to save. They're not going to give you more vacation time. They're not going to help you create a better future for your children. They're creating a future where your children will work from 16 until death. And if Trump wants to remake America into a manufacturing giant, those are going to be low-paying jobs. And whoever owns the manufacturing company is going to be very, very wealthy. That's why they're going after education. That's why they're trying to reshore jobs that don't require an education. And then you have no alternative skills. So you're just stuck. You're going to work for a corporation your whole life. Like it or love it, it is what it is. And every year it's just going to get a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse. And eventually, if they have their way, this ends in the same way every time. Violent revolt of a monarchy or an oligarchy. So I guess if you want to go down that road, I don't think we can wake you up at this point. We got to wake up other people. Hey, Jen.
Hey. So you're never going to believe this.
Okay.
Our appeal went through.
Oh, no shit.
I mean, I think the only valid ban that we probably had.
Yeah.
Went through.
Take that.
So we will be back on TikTok tomorrow.
I think that must mean God wanted me there.
That would be the only explanation that makes sense.
What other explanation is there for beating a TikTok ban? That's God. Thank you guys for your thoughts and prayers. They worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We praise whoever.
Libraries are free. Hold on. Libraries are free. Knowledge is easy to acquire. Wealth acquisition simply requires the will to do. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But even then, it wouldn't change a single one of my arguments. To get wealthy, if you want to be a billionaire, you have to break the law or steal from the government. Show me one billionaire who didn't get there by breaking the law or stealing from the government.
Yeah. So we've got about an hour and a half left of the show. Have you updated the total recently?
No. Right now.
No. So we're a ways away from our gift goal. I know Jay hates to ask, but we need to hit that number so we can keep doing this each day. It's not we have to capitalism. So if you guys could help us out, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards helping knock down that balance. So if you guys could do that, that would be fantastic. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. We have a member-only event coming up this upcoming Monday. You get to join us if you're a paid subscriber wherever on any of the platforms. So if you guys disagree with RTP, we've got more people in here. I've seen a couple people who are, squawking. If you guys want to come up and talk, you can do that. And how you do that is the Venmo username is my Discord. If you send me a message on Discord, I can bring you up to talk to RTP in real time. You don't have to stay in the comments and Instagram there. You guys can actually have a conversation. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch, Jay's on Cameo, and we upload these episodes to Spotify. So my grandpa had bad eyesight.
Okay.
But he could always see when someone had a nice butt. His hindsight was 2020.
Stupid. You even fucked it up at the beginning. I still didn't catch it. What are you saying? Hey, man, America allows the freedom to choose what you can do. The system is against us. Personal freedom is the ultimate goal of relaxation. America does not allow you the freedom to choose what you can do. It really doesn't. It attacks that. Capitalism, specifically crony capitalism, has obliterated the American dream. Yes, you can start. Yes, you have the freedom to try things in America, but it's never been harder. It's never been harder to start a small business and be successful. You get buried. And you get buried by people with money. If you have a good idea, somebody's going to copy it. Somebody with more money is going to copy it, steal it, and then they're going to fuck that whole thing up. I hear what you're saying, like, again, but these are just like talking points. This is just what Americans say. Let's be honest about that. Is it easier now to create a good living with a solid retirement, or was it easier in 1970? It's easier in 1970. Right? The more these billionaires accumulate, the more difficult it is for us. And by the way, this crash is coming, and you're all going to be fucked. Like if you have investment accounts, you're fucked. I hope that you don't have adjustable rate mortgages. I don't even know if you can get those anymore. But if you do have adjustable rate mortgages, you're fucked on that. And this government, your MAGA government, they won't give you a fucking dime. If they do, it'll be nothing, and they will do everything they can to save these massive corporations who have paid them to do it. Everybody knows, every fucking billionaire, every fucking economist knows that a crash is coming. They all know it. They're all preparing for it. They're all doing exactly what the rich folks did in 2008, except for this time they're a little smarter. You're starting to see a lot more early short positions. People are betting against themselves. Like you see venture capitalists betting against themselves now. They're going and they're shorting these CLOs that they created. So they go and they loan money to somebody, right? These collateralized loan obligations with adjustable rates. And when the default rate goes up, the rate of the rate goes up for them. And they know that these companies are going to default. So they're going to acquire that company, which gobbles up any sort of competition or allows you to bring them onto your umbrella if they're a good company, and you can do it with your existing employees. And you get to fire all these people. And now you have this asset, and you have a loan that they don't get to pay back, but it doesn't really matter. It was fake money in the first place, and then the government's still going to bail them out. They know it. They know that it's rigged. They know what they're doing right now. Yeah, it's a good point. Gold was skyrocketing. That's always a sign. Their cryptocurrency scams are at all-time highs. They are consolidating as much wealth as they can while also protecting themselves when the crash comes. And they're in the administration. It's Scott Bessent. It's Donald Trump. It's Kevin Hassett. It's Howard Lutnick. It's all these people who they're buddies with who are going to be shaping our policy when the crash comes. And they're going to bail out all their friends, and you guys are going to be fucked. So for everybody that loses a house during that time, middle-class America is going to have no money. We're already stretched thin. People are going to lose those houses. Rich people will buy those houses, consolidating more wealth for themselves, and then they are going to charge you rent. That's where this is headed. I don't know anybody who honest to God, I don't know an economist who disagrees with that. I go find me one. Find me an economist that doesn't say that we're like it's a bubble, that we've got an AI bubble, that we have a venture capital bubble, and that it's about to blow up. And venture capital is in every part of our lives. That's why it's going to crash the housing market, because they have gone into the housing market. Like I said, in Arizona, like 40% of new purchases. And if they can't pay for those houses, they just let them go. They already have their own wealth. What the worst case scenario, their business goes under. That's what they're doing. They're helping their buddies set up for this crash. And they're consolidating power, so when things get bad, you guys can't say shit about it. Things are going to, by the way, if the economy tanks, like these No Kings rallies, these ICE protests, those will be people protesting the government saying, we have no money, we have no food. And those are likely to get more violent. And they know this. That's why they're beta testing all this shit. That's why they're testing the courts right now, and they're testing the American people, and they're testing the strategy, and they're figuring out where they can go. This is all just part of the plan. It's in Project 2025. They all know this is coming, and it's a consolidation of power, and you guys are just walking them through it. Yay! You guys hate trans people. We're with you. Yeah, immigrants are the bad ones. We're with you. And they're just consolidating wealth. We didn't cover this. Remember that crypto story that came out that somebody had made $150 million? Well, it turns out that seems to be Barron. Looks like that's probably Barron Trump. Somebody with virtually no education, no experience, gets insider information from either his dad or his brothers or the company that he co-owns with his dad and brothers, and shorts a bunch of cryptocurrency and makes $150 million. Not a peep from you. Not a peep from you. Oh, Hunter Biden brought in cocaine to the White House and sold some of his paintings. Not a peep from you guys about insider trading when it comes to cryptocurrency and who benefits. It's just the president's family. No big deal. Why doesn't he deserve $150 million? 19-year-old kid, never worked a day in his life, just a nepo baby bitch, makes $150 million. Yeah, guys, that's America. With libraries are free. Information is free. The American dream has never been more accessible if you're a nepo baby with millions of dollars. So many new houses, the price are dropping because no one is buying. The houses are just sitting there. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, they only address insider trading when they want to go after Pelosi, which they should go after Pelosi. Trump is literally saying, give them cake. Thanks, Amy. Sam said, I appreciate y'all, all that y'all keep doing. Thank you. Amy said, on behalf of Charlie AG, thanks, Kansas, for showing up. And doesn't Israel not like Christians the same as Muslims? They tolerate Christians for now because Christians are like, we're in this together. And Israel's like, yeah, we sure are. We're with you. We're in this together. We just need your money, though. We're going to need your money, and we're going to need your military. If this turns into a war, you guys are going to have to fight that war for us. All right, let's get more into this government shutdown. Go back to Mike Johnson with his interview with Jonathan Karl, I think. Jonathan Karl's just like, hey, why don't you guys just I know the government's supposed to be shut down, but you guys can still do your job. Why aren't you doing your job?
So let's get to the shutdown. You've blamed the Democrats, and to be clear, you did pass a so-called clear...
Not so-called, totally clean.
Keep the government funded for 7...
Wait, no way. Charges dropped against Luigi? That's not right, is it? Sorry, this is breaking news if this is real. Let me keep playing this video.
Months. They refused to vote for that, most of them, because they want to hold out for the Obamacare subsidies.
Well, no, they filed it. We filed a clean CR, 24 pages in length, keep the lights on. They filed a dirty CR. What's in it? They want to reinstate free health care paid for by taxpayers to illegal aliens. That's $200 billion as part of it. They want to give money back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They want to take $500 million from rural hospitals, and they want to engage in all sorts of spending.
Everybody knows it's wrong. I don't see that either with Luigi. I think that's an old post. There were some state terrorism charges that were dropped. But that was back in September sometime. Let's go back to this. I just want to point out Mike Johnson just lying through his teeth.
Government.
Has anybody else noticed that in the last 2 months, his hair has gotten way more gray? This stress is really starting to eat him up.
Totally clean.
Keep the government funded for 7 months. They refused to vote for that, most of them, because they want to hold out for the Obamacare subsidies.
Well, no, they filed it. We filed a clean CR, 24 pages in length, keep the lights on. They filed a dirty CR. What's in it? They want to reinstate free health care paid for by taxpayers to illegal aliens. That's
not true. Just categorically false. Just an absolute fucking out and out lie. If you're a Republican here, I want you to Google this right now. Are the Democrats advocating for, or in their dirty CR, did they advocate for free health care for illegal immigrants? Just Google it. Remember my Republican friend here. Where is that Republican friend that said information is free, libraries are free? I want you to Google this right now. All of you.
$200 billion as part of it. They want to give money back to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. They want to take $500 million from rural hospitals. And they want
false. What they want, that money would be reinstated by undoing these changes. That money for rural hospitals is, again, it's a slush fund that they created after they cut the funding. So they cut the funding. The hospitals are like, we're fucked. You cut the funding, and now we're going to go under. They're like, here's a $50 billion Band-Aid. So if you restore the funding, you don't need that $50 billion. So that extra $50 billion that they added on later, we don't have to pay that anymore. That's a tax cut. That's great. That's a spending cut. We could use that.
Want to engage in all sorts of spending on foreign projects around the globe. That is actually on paper. That's their kind of proposal. We can't do that.
Okay, so the Democrats did not vote for the clean funding bill. They have.
I also think it's funny when they say, like, we can't do that. Why can't you do that? Why not? Well, Daddy Trump says we can't do it. Who says you can't do that, Mike?
Chosen to shut the government down to fight for the healthcare and the other items you mentioned. But let me ask you, why, as this is going on, why is the House not in session?
Well, first of all, we're fighting for health care as well, not just in word, but in deed. We put it in the one big beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, real reforms to Medicaid to make it work better, to preserve the program, because we had.
I just wanted to be clear what he just said there. We're also fighting for health care. We're fighting so much that we cut funding to health care for poor people. Just so we're also fighting for the American people by cutting funding for poor people. That's what we're doing.
Illegal aliens receiving benefits. We had young, able-bodied men who were not working. They don't have dependents. They were riding the wagon. We cleaned that up in our bill. In their counter-proposal, what Chuck Schumer is...
Riding the wagon is also Mike Johnson's Grindr username. I don't know if you knew that.
But is arguing for is he wants to reverse those reforms, which would be a terrible policy decision for the people.
But I'm actually asking a different question. I said, why is the House not in session? I mean, I covered day-to-day those previous shutdowns, including the one you mentioned in 2013. I recall there were House hearings during that shutdown about how President Obama was handling the shutdown.
Yeah.
Why is the House not in session as this is
the House did its job.
Here's the answer. The answer is a discharge petition. Once the House is in session, even though the government's shut down, you can have a discharge petition for the Epstein files, which means that 218 people can vote to release the Epstein files. And that release is, because of the 218 votes, Mike Johnson has no choice but to bring it. Now, Mike Johnson controls the agenda. He controls what bills are brought before the House. This is really important for people to understand just how full of shit this guy is. The government, even though it is shut down, Congress can still work, and they could still bring up the Epstein stuff. They could bring up the stuff that requires no funding. What Mike is afraid to say is that he knows that's their leverage. Their leverage is that the Epstein files need to come out, that people want the Epstein files to come out, and he can use the opening the government as a way to say, that's how we'll vote to bring out the Epstein files. It's just leverage. He's just not telling the truth.
Exactly a month ago today, on September 19th, we passed the clean resolution. The continuing resolution would keep the lights on, keep the government working for the people. By the way, keep Border Patrol agents paid, our troops paid, air traffic controllers, all the rest, all the services that go to veterans and young women who need nutrition assistance for their infants. The Democrats, every single one of them, have now voted 11 times, except for 3 Democrats in the Senate. They voted 11 times to shut down the government and cease and halt all of those services and programs.
Seems like that's what the American people want, though.
But I'm still understanding, why is the House not in session? You passed a 7-week temporary funding bill. Is that...
2 times asked the question, why is the House not in session? Both times he just explained why the government was shut down. 3rd time's the charm.
The entirety of the Republican agenda?
No, it is
Why
not.
aren't you...
No, it is not. But I refuse to allow us to come back and engage in anything until the government's reopened, when the Democrats do the right thing for the people. They're playing politics, and we have to use every...
So are you who? You both are. But the difference is, if we're going to play politics, you should side with what the American people want. What do the American people want? They want that healthcare funding to be restored, and they want the Epstein files released. So if Mike Johnson was doing the will of the American people instead of the will of Donald Trump and the will of the Republicans, Mike Johnson would reopen the government. He would agree to those to reinstitute the funding, and he would release the Epstein files. But he's not doing what's best for the American people. He's not doing what they want. He's doing what Donald wants.
of leverage we have to make sure they do the right thing. They have literally chosen, this is a true statement, you think about it, look at their votes and their actions. They have chosen restoring benefits by taxpayers to illegal aliens over paying our troops and our Border Patrol agents and TSA and all the rest. It's
another instance of, like, he keeps using the word, like, literally and definitively and objectively. He's using those words incorrectly, because if we literally read what they ask, there is no restoration of funding for health insurance for illegal immigrants, because that was already illegal and it didn't exist. And they're not asking for it. We read it. They don't want that. That was a lie. All they're talking about is the reimbursement, right? So these rural hospitals, or these hospitals in general, if somebody comes in and they have been injured and they get treated, because hospitals just treat everybody, and none of that has changed. They're still going to treat everybody. But then the hospitals can seek reimbursement if somebody's here illegally through the federal government. They can ask for reimbursement. That's it. So it just makes it so that the hospital don't have to determine your citizenship. They can treat everybody as fast as possible, and they get reimbursed. What Mike Johnson's basically saying is, we have to take this money from our federal funds, and we need to give it to rich people in the form of tax breaks and subsidies. And so we want the states to take this on. We want the states to have to pay this. And some states will choose not to pay that money and people will die, red states. And blue states will choose to take on that money, and they'll have to raise taxes, or they'll have like a budget shortfall. And then Republicans will beat them over the head with that and be like, you guys can't even manage your state. Look at all this money you have to spend on people who are here illegally. Once again, it's like the Christian conservatives are always not taking care of their neighbor. It's always fuck these immigrants. And the atheist, blue-haired commies are like, hey, you know what? We're cool with everybody. We don't think you should die just because you're not here legally. So go ahead and use the hospitals. That's the difference. It's just a difference of humanity. But it has nothing to do with funding health insurance for illegal immigrants.
I mean, as you know, neither Medicaid nor the Obamacare subsidies can go to undocumented.
You know why? Because we got it signed into law July 4th, and they're trying to repeal it, Jonathan.
No, it was already in law. See, Mike Johnson's lying again. That was already the law. They didn't write a new law that said this. That's already been the law.
So that's the whole point.
But you were doing this 7-week extension to give you time to pass funding for the.
Steve, I'm saying it doesn't matter whose fucking fault it is. It's all of their fault. Stop playing the silly game. Stop being a little puppet. They're like, remember, guys, it's their fault. And you're like, yeah, it is their fault. I'm going to go on the internet and talk about whose fault it is. No, the American people aren't getting what they want. The American people want these things restored. So whoever's in the right is the one that's doing what the American people want. The majority of Americans want this restored. So it is currently the Republicans who are in the majority and could restore this thing that all Americans want. And they're saying, fuck you, we know better than you. We're not going to restore this funding. We already gave it to our billionaire friends. They need them subsidies. They need them. They don't want to pay them no taxes. So we got to give them no taxes. So we take it from the poors. And you're like, yeah, that's the Democrats' fault. Don't play the game, Steve.
Rest of the year.
That's right.
Why aren't you working on that now?
We are working on that. We don't have to be on the House floor to do it. Our appropriators are working around the clock. They have been. They're negotiating not just in our party, but across the aisle to get the next batch of appropriations bills ready to go. It's a great point. All we did was a simple CR. There's not a single Republican policy priority on the CR.
But there are no committee hearings on these budget bills. There are no votes on these budget bills.
Very important. Very important. The House has already passed the 12 appropriations bills through committee. They don't need a committee hearing to do that. We need to get them off the floor. But it's been stopped by the Democrats in the Senate. And why? Because
you're ripping health care from poor people. That's why. Now, what are you going to say?
Chuck Schumer is afraid that one of these Marxists is going to run against him in his next reelect, and he has to get political cover. When he did the right thing in March.
This doesn't. Nobody fucking cares on the left here. Like, nobody gives a fuck about Chuck Schumer. If Chuck Schumer is going to be primaried from the left, it's going to be because of his support of Israel. This won't change any of that. Nobody's going to be like, well, I was going to vote against Chuck Schumer, but since he drew a hard line here on the CR to give health insurance to illegal immigrants, suddenly I'm not going to vote for him anymore. He's toast anyways.
And he voted for the nearly identical CR. He took massive heat from the far left. Many of the groups that were out there protesting yesterday, he can't face them again. This is plain.
Oh, Oh, you mean that the American people are saying you better do this, and now you're criticizing him for listening to the American people? Why doesn't he keep the same opinion that he had 6 months ago? That's always the Republican talking point, because Republicans don't ever change their opinion, their policy, or their prescriptions. They've said the same thing my entire fucking life, and none of it works, and they don't have answers for anything. They still don't have a healthcare plan it's been 50 years now, no healthcare plan. But they don't change because that's what conservatism is. It's doubling down on tried and failed policies over and over and over and blaming somebody else for them failing.
And simply a selfish decision on
There's also...
Yeah. Did you hear a plan there? 4 minutes and 5 seconds. Do they have a plan? No, just let us do what we want. That's what we're doing. We're telling the Democrats to let us do whatever we want. Look, the Democrats would cave on this in a heartbeat if they didn't have the American people backing them. Let's be honest. The Democrats are cowards too. But the truth is, the American people are giving them cover. The American people are saying, yeah, this is worth fighting for. This is worth keeping it locked down. Go for it. This is a real problem. This hurts a lot of people. That's why. That's why you don't see anywhere in the country. You don't see Democrats protesting this. Even those who are losing their care, they're not protesting the Democrats. It's clearly the right who says we want to cut funding for Medicaid, Medicare, and ACA subsidies. It's pretty obvious. That's why everybody's pissed at Republicans. That's why 7 million people showed up on the streets this last Saturday. That's why you couldn't get 7 million right-wingers to protest right now. Remember, like Charlie Kirk died. They had protests. They were sparsely attended to. Nothing near no kings. Sadly, it'll hurt Republican states the most. That's true, Amy Lynn. So now that the protests are useless are working. Thanks, Mike. That's a good point. Suddenly those protests are working. Mike just is a frustrating guy. Like, Mike has just worked in the government for far too long. He sees everything as a team game, and he sees everything as Republican versus Democrat. And that's why I think Republicans have a hard time right now parsing through this, because this is what they've been sold with Trump since 2016, is it's us versus them. Everything we do perfect, everything they do bad. Thank you, Michelle, for the donation. Did I miss any other ones? No, I think I got those. All right, moving on. Here's Speaker Johnson being asked in that same conference about. Actually, no, this is the one where they dumped the shit. I already played that one. I want to show you. I want to show you Chip Roy though, because now they're just lying. And Chip Roy is reading it because these are talking points handed to Chip Roy. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, which is pretty usual. But Chip Roy is going to now lay out the Republican argument. And look how easy this is to pick apart.
Democrats are using this ridiculous political exercise to hold hostage the government of the American people, pretending it's about health care. Meanwhile, it is Democrats who've been holding the American people hostage to an unconscionably broken health care system that they themselves created.
All right, let's talk about that first part. Democrats didn't create this health care system. We have private health insurance in this country. It sucks. Private health insurance is a fucking scam. It should go away. It fucking sucks. And when Obama ran, he wanted to do single-payer health care. If you remember, he wanted to model it after the plan that Mitt Romney signed into law in Massachusetts, which is single-payer. He also wanted the government to be the single-payer, and he wanted to cut out the insurance companies completely. But when he ran, he didn't have the support from the Democratic Party. He also clearly didn't have support from Republicans. So they negotiated, and they came up with a hybrid option. And that hybrid option was that the government would, instead of funding health insurance, they would fund health insurance companies. Now that was doomed from the start. There's no mechanism. There's no control mechanism for pricing. And I'll show you some numbers here in a little bit. But like, all the Democrats changed was that the government was going to subsidize healthcare. That's all they changed. And the Republicans are running on this, like a decision to subsidize healthcare caused all of these problems. It's not true. If you didn't have Obamacare, if you just kept on going on the trajectory pre-Obamacare, you would have had premiums would be higher now than they are currently. And that's saying a lot because they're incredibly high.
We're saying no more. We're the party that's standing up for hardworking Americans who can't afford health care, who can't afford insurance. We're not for giving more money to the insurance companies.
By the way, they're doing this, of course, by cutting ACA subsidies for people who can't afford health insurance, who rely on the government subsidy to be able to afford health insurance. That's how they're doing it. Just so we're clear, they're making your life better. They're going to make things more affordable by not helping you pay your bill anymore. That's their solution. This is what they're on stage saying this. Weirdly, both have their eyes closed right now. That's not a plan, guys. That's just them going, God, I hope our constituents are as stupid as we think they are, because we're about to tell them that we're making things better by cutting the subsidies.
We're not for a $400 billion blank check to big corporate America and corporate welfare, like my friend from Maryland said. We're not for health care for illegal aliens, but for standing up for American citizens to be able to afford health care, to carry forward the president's good policies, like short-term limited duration plans, and other ways that people can actually go and afford health care.
How's a short-term limited duration plan going to bring costs down? How? Somebody explain it to me. These are just plans that you can have for like a year or whatever. I think that the IVF insurance is going to fall under this. It's just for like specific things. How does this help? How's this going to? Has anybody asked a Republican? Do we have a Republican here that can explain this? How is this policy going to bring down prices? Brian said, do you know who made it law that anyone that comes into an emergency room receive treatment? That's right, Ronald Reagan. Yeah, I'm telling. Amy said, oh, yeah, I read that one already. Now, Chip Roy, he's reading again because he got to get back to his talking points, because he's probably realizing right now, what I said right there doesn't make any fucking sense. We're definitely not going to make health insurance cheaper by doing this.
Care. We're for law and order. We're not for hate-filled lawlessness. We're for common sense, not radical surgeries on our children without parental consent to say a boy can be a girl.
He read it. Guys, he read that. He wrote that shit down. We're going to make health insurance more affordable by not helping you pay your bill anymore. And this very real thing where kids were getting their dicks cut off without parental consent, it was happening everywhere. And we're going to stop that. But it's a very real thing that definitely happens. Definitely has happened. Is that, I don't know if that's ever happened. There's no way that's ever happened. But he wrote that shit down and then he read it because they know, hey guys, nobody understands any of this shit. So just make sure that somewhere in the writing, you got to go after immigrants and you got to go after trans people. That's how we won this election. Really play on their hatred. Really play on that.
For a message of hope. Hope born in the freedom of those who fought to give it to us through their blood and also through the blood.
And we support the troops. We're making your health insurance cheaper. How? Well, by no immigrants, no trans. God bless the troops. Yeah, he did it. He said all the talking points in one thing. What was his plan again to make it cheaper? I don't know, but I liked the part about the troops. I liked how he ended it with the troops there.
Blood of our Savior, Jesus Christ.
Oh, and Jesus. Yeah, thank God.
Republicans are working to make America great again. Democrats have been trying to run out the clock. And for Hakeem and Chuck, their time is up.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's still going. Why do you guys always talk like this? Your time is over. No, it's not. It's still going. Let's talk about this. As of 2025, the CEOs of health insurance companies, after the ACA, they earn an average between $20 and $23 million annually, depending on where you're pulling the numbers. In 2013, before Obamacare, they were making on average $13.9 million. That's an increase of 65%. So their wages have gone up 65% since 2013. The average healthcare worker has seen less than a 10% increase in their wages. Interesting how that happens, right? But it's not them. It's not that extra money being paid out to investors and to CEOs. That's not what's causing the prices to go up. It's trans people? I think it's trans people. I can't remember. I think it's the trans people that are causing it to go up. Between 2001 and 2013, so the 12 years preceding the ACA, U.S. healthcare spending rose at an average annual rate of about 5.4%. And then when adjusted for inflation so that you can compare, about 3.2%. That's how much we saw healthcare premiums rising every single year in the 12 years before the ACA. From 2003 to 2013, growth slowed but remained steady at 5.4% nominally, or 3.2, as the economy recovered from the recession in 2001 and generic drugs became more common. By 2013, national health expenditures reached 2.85 trillion, representing, and here's the fun part, 17% of our GDP, 17.4% of our GDP was healthcare related costs, compared to 13% in 2001. Now, going back, and I don't have these numbers written down, so I'll try and explain them to you. But going post ACA, so since the Affordable Care Act has been put into place, and you take the 12 years, which is going to be from 2013 to 2025. In the first 5 years after the ACA was put into effect, growth hovered at around 4.8%. So it went from 5.4% average raise of pricing to 4.8%. If you adjust that for inflation, it's right around 2.7%. So about 0.5% less than before. So it did slow the rising costs of health insurance. We saw that number go down. So it actually did its job. Then it was gutted. After 5 years, they gutted it. They pulled out a lot of the protections. And you would think, because what Republicans told you is that when they stripped out all these provisions and all this regulation, that prices were actually going to go down. So prices were going up because of Obamacare, but when we pull out the regulation, prices will go down. So let's look at the Trump years. In 2020, 2020, when we had COVID-19, our health insurance costs went up by about 10.4%. That was mostly due, though, to the fact that they were paying out a bunch more claims. Coming into 2021 and 2022, the growth slowed to 4.6%, and then accelerated again as healthcare utilization rebounded with nearly universal coverage, about 92.5% of Americans that were in the workforce. CMS now projects that we will continue the rise of costs by about 6% annually. So remember, before the ACA, we were rising at about 5.4%. Once we had the ACA intact, it was rising at about 4.8%. And now they're projecting, with everything gutted and these new cuts, we're expected to see between 5.5 and 5.8% increases. We are going to see health insurance costs rising more quickly than they did when the ACA was totally in effect. And that's expected to outpace the GDP growth of 4.6%. And that will take our GDP, our gross domestic product, which during the ACA was 17.5%, to about 20% by the end of 2025. It's going up. Nothing they're telling you is true. If they would not have touched the ACA, your health insurance would still be very expensive, but it would be a little bit less. And these cuts that they're claiming that they're making to lower prices are projected to make prices higher. There's no economist I can find that says this will drive the price down. I just think, again, they just expect you to listen to what they say and be like, oh, okay, yeah, this will work. But when you hear them say it, like, we're going to bring prices down, how are you doing that? Well, we're cutting Medicaid funding. How will that bring prices down? Well, there will be less people using it. How will that bring prices down? Because remember, like, Medicaid, that might bring down like the amount we pay out through Medicaid. That's it, though. That won't bring prices down. Just because we're paying out less in claims doesn't mean that will bring prices down. Those two things aren't connected. That's why every economist is saying it's going to continue to rise, which we could just do universal health care and cut our costs by a fourth, but we can't do that because socialism bad. Here's Chip Roy now after like laying an egg on health care. He's not done yet. We're going to talk more about Jesus.
And the truth is, the Marxists, the radicals, and the Islamists, the Democratic...
That's us, guys. We're the Marxists, the radicals, and the Islamists. You can be all three. You can be one. You can be two. But if you're on the left, you're one of those things.
Party promoted this weekend. They cannot handle the truth. The truth is that there is a king, and that king is Jesus.
That's not true. That's not a truth. That's a thing that you believe. They're doing Christian nationalism. This guy's just doing straight up Christian nationalism. There's nothing wrong with being a Marxist. There's nothing wrong with being an Islamist. There's nothing wrong with being a what was the other one? A radical. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. All of those things are protected by the Constitution. You're welcome to be any of those things in this country. That's the whole point. And he says you can't be those things because there's a truth that Jesus is king. What? You can't even prove that guy's real. Remember when JD Vance did this? Like, we can't come together until you guys all agree that Jesus is king. Until then, we're not coming together. Sure looks like that's what they're doing.
And the president has been willing to say it. His administration has been willing to say it. And Charlie Kirk was willing to say it, and he got killed for it. Political.
Yeah. But what you guys are saying is fascism. Right? Like, maybe we still don't know why Charlie Kirk was killed. It's somewhere, like, if you want to come up with excuses, one, maybe the Tyler Robinson didn't like that what he said about trans people, or maybe he was killed by a foreign government, wherever it is. But it was none of those things. They're just saying we're doing fascism. They're like, hey, look, all these other ideologies that are different than yours, we're going to get rid of all of those. And people might, and Charlie Kirk died for that. Okay. Well, if that's what you're saying, if you're saying that we're getting rid of you if you are a Marxist, if you are a radical, or if you are an Islamist, if you're saying we're getting rid of those people and then Charlie Kirk died for that, that sounds an awful lot like somebody fighting against Charlie Kirk for being a genocidal fascist. That's what it sounds like. If those are the reasons you're using now, that you're getting rid of us because this God that you believe in is actually king, and if you don't buy into, one, that God is king, and that, two, apparently God is a capitalist, that's important, because Marxism is just like a critique on capitalism, right? So God definitely has like a preferred economic theory. And if you don't subscribe to God's preferred economic theory, we're getting rid of you, and that's why Charlie Kirk died. You guys are making it sound more justified than anybody made it sound over here. I thought he died because somebody didn't like what he said about trans people. You guys are making him sound like he died because he was trying to take away people's rights to just have their own ideas. I like Chip Roy's versions better. Kristen, I still haven't found one thing MAGA is not terrified of. That's fair. I don't know what they're not terrified. They're terrified of everything. Burned Out says, I'm a paramedic and we never check immigrant status when we arrive on scene. We just treat and transport. Amy said, do you want better paying jobs? Make healthcare universal. A lot of older Americans working to keep benefits. Brian said, do you know who made it a lot? Oh, we read that one. And then I read that one too. All right. Then last but not least, Steve Scalise. They're all just going to say the exact same thing though.
Frankly, they've held Chuck Schumer hostage, and so now Chuck Schumer is holding the American people hostage. And this weekend, we got to see on display what that Hate America rally we've been talking about was really all about.
What was it really all about? If I show any rally, if I show any crowd, you're almost going to exclusively see signs that aren't violent. They handpick signs. If I go to Twitter and I type in no kings, I bet if we go through these rallies, we're not going to see a bunch of angry signs. Let's see if I can find them. Let's see if I can find media. Let's see videos. All right, so that's what this was about. These were all just, look at all these people here. What are they doing? They're just there because they hate capitalism. They're all Marxist. These are Islamists. God damn, I guess you got a problem if this many people in your country don't like you. Maybe we should address that rather than just saying that all these people are evil. Where is this? What city is it? Is this Chicago? Yeah, that's Chicago, I think. By the way, it's crazy because aren't all these buildings supposed to be on fire? Weren't they already rioting? Isn't that why ICE is there? Why aren't these buildings? Can somebody is this AI? This must be AI. Who's from Chicago? These buildings are all gone, right? They've all been burned down. This must be AI. They're superimposing those buildings back in. Somebody, do we have any Chicago folks here? I'm not sure. I don't think they're supposed to be there. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to put out fake news, but those buildings definitely should either be on fire or not be there.
You can see some of the signs. These
Thanks,
are just
Jen.
a few. But over and over again, you could see signs like 8647. I think everybody knows what that's about. Multiple signs like that advocating for the death of our president.
Yeah.
And where are the Chuck Schumers of the world calling that out? They didn't call it out. They actually went and celebrated with those people that are advocating.
That's where we're at with our government now. One side of the aisle gets together and they pick out some signs that they saw that they didn't like, and they demand that the other side address these no-name protesters who put up signs. That's where we're at in America now. That's our job. Okay, that's the public's job. That's the commentator's job. That's the podcast host's job. It's the content creator's job. That's what we do. You guys have a fucking job. Would you mind doing your job? We'll do our job. You do your job. We don't need you to do this. We'll hold people accountable, but we're going to hold a press conference. They didn't even hold a press conference and address every single fucking sign that they disagreed with. How can we trust them?
For the murder of President Trump and other Republicans. It's insanity. Yet that's where the Democrat Party.
This is far more insane than anything going on in this country. It's insane that 5 of you dumb motherfuckers got up today to talk and hold a press conference about 1, 2, 3, 4 signs. 7 million people protested. You got 4 signs. I'm not saying that those are the only signs that you could have got, but that's what you've got. And you held an hour-long press conference about this shit. Do your fucking job. You're not a commentator. You're not an analyst. Shut the fuck up and legislate. Why are we holding? This is what you guys are proud for, Republicans? I voted for this. I voted for the government to not do a goddamn thing but stand on a stage and repeat talking points about why we should hate Democrats. This is what we're complaining about. This says 8647. Yeah, toughen the fuck up. We all get death threats, bud. We don't have time to address every death threat this country's ever had. All right. I want to jump into just some of the stuff that's happening in Gaza. This was actually pretty cool, though. Nestlé takes a licking and is not still on ticking.
Some breaking news to bring you now. Nestlé, as I'm sure you've heard of because they make Kit Kat and Nescafe and Nespresso and lots of other things, has announced it's going to cut around 16,000 jobs globally over the next 2 years. Why does it matter here in the UK? Because plenty of people in the UK work at Nestlé. They make confectionery in Halifax and lots of things in York.
Larry, you're just waiting for Dem's next move because you don't know what the fuck's going on. You're just waiting for the next thing for them to tell you to be upset about, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to repeat it because it's what you do every day, Larry. You sound like you're like 8 days behind. We always cover a story, and then 8 days later, after we've already debunked it, here comes Larry, who's finally figured out the talking point from watching Hannity every night. And he's like, guys, I've got some new ideas that are definitely my own. And then you're going to come in here and you're going to bitch about something. Larry, we know your game plan. Your game plan is wait for Republicans to talk so you can whine like a bitch every fucking day. That's what you're going to do. Every fucking day, you guys do the same thing. We're in power, but we're going to blame everybody else, and we're just going to wait till they tell us who to be upset about. I look forward to you covering what we're covering today in 8 days, Larry, and pretending like you're just hearing about it for the first time.
In the UK, work at Nestlé, make confectionery in Halifax and lots of things in York, and Gatwick's the HQ, and cereals are made in Welwyn and in Ireland as well. Dublin has an HQ as well. Girvan in Scotland makes confectionery. A lot of people work for Nestlé here in the UK. We don't know where these job cuts are coming exactly, but some 16,000 jobs are going globally. This is according to Philip Navratil, who's Nestlé's fairly new chief executive, saying the world is changing and Nestlé needs to change faster, and that is going to culminate over the next 2 years in 16,000 jobs going around the world, potentially in the UK. We have no detail on that as yet, but that's going to make a lot of people at those places, Staverton, Welwyn, Girvan, I mentioned, Bromborough on the Wirral as well, rather nervous.
Yeah. Guess what else happened to Nestlé? They're being boycotted worldwide because they have given money to candidates and people, and they refuse to address what's happening in Israel. And so people are like, fuck you, we're not buying your shitty chocolate anymore. And now Nestlé has to cut a bunch of jobs. This was interesting. The evolution of people like Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan is one. I don't think it needs to be celebrated because they're both just wind vanes. They just figure out which direction the wind is blowing and they follow it. But ironically, looking back, if you look at Tucker Carlson, he kind of has been in the last 10 years, he's been somebody who's willing to buck trends if he feels like there's a movement growing in that direction. And he tends to get it right, like that the movement is moving in that direction. But this was interesting. This was Mehdi Hassan on with Piers Morgan, who has totally changed his tone. Because I remember the days that you couldn't go on Piers Morgan and talk about Israel. You could be like, the IDF, and he's like, what about October 7th? Condemn Hamas. And you could never get anything out. And now he has completely changed his tune. Israel has lost this battle in public perception, and Donald Trump and MAGA are also losing this battle. And they will continue because none of them are ever going to admit defeat.
Listen, you and I have talked about this war in Gaza for ever since it started, this phase of the 75-year conflict. And I have resisted going as far as you have done in your criticism of the Israeli government. I resist no more. I think we've reached common ground about what we view is happening and has been happening through this period of this blockade, which frankly is just starvation.
I didn't know that. 22 arrests out of the 7 million, the 22 are reported as being right-wing agitators. Great.
Of the people there, including so many innocent young women and children. And I think that the incessant bombing and killing, and we don't know how many civilians have been killed, but it is on a daily basis.
Vanessa says, Chicago here, we're fireproof now. Lesson learned.
It looks like hundreds of people every day, with no apparent attempt, it seems to me, to have any real plan for how this ends or what happens when it ends, other than if you look at what Smodrich has been saying, probably the most right-wing member of a very right-wing government, he is talking in a genocidal language about kicking all the Palestinians out. So I think you and I have reached a place in the last few weeks where we are in agreement. But my question for you, Mehdi, is how does this end?
I don't know the answer to that question, Piers, and I'm glad we're in agreement. I wish we weren't. Actually, I wish I had been wrong and you were right. I wish that a year ago when I said on your show, you said, well, if it's not about the hostages, what's it about? And I said, it's about depopulating Gaza. It's about conquering Gaza. I wish I'd been wrong. But as you said, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister in the Israeli government, said this week, we are there to conquer, cleanse, and remain. Those are his words. We are disassembling Gaza, he said. We are leaving it as piles of rubble. He says, we're doing something that no one's done in the world before. He bragged out loud, and he said, yes, the Gazans will have to leave. So all of those things are stuff some of us were saying last year. I wish we hadn't been vindicated in this horrific way. The killing is ongoing. The starvation is ongoing. And look, I do hope that a dam is bursting. You mentioned the genocide word. Shmuel Lederman, who is an Israeli researcher of genocide.
Thanks, Alter Ego. Appreciate the gifted subs.
Spent much of 2024 saying it's not a genocide, it's not a genocide. He was interviewed by a Dutch newspaper last week. He said, I've changed my position. It is a genocide. He said, in my field, there's a consensus among genocide scholars that it's a genocide. In fact, that Dutch newspaper interviewed 7 leading scholars of genocide. Every single one said, we think what's happening in Gaza is a genocide. In fact, this week, Piers, you have an Israeli former general, Yair Golan, saying a sane country does not attack civilians, does not kill babies as a hobby, and does not expel civilian populations. That is Yair Golan, the former deputy chief of the Israeli military, prominent Israeli politician. He was a hero on October the 7th, fought Hamas himself on October the 7th. This is what he said this week.
That narrative's over. You don't. If you're still somebody who says it's not a genocide, you're at odds with every single scholar. If you're still someone who's saying that Israel deserves to defend themselves, you're at odds with literally everybody but the actual murderers in Israel and then the MAGA wing of this country. And even then, it's like 50-50 in the MAGA wing. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunding. We got about probably about 45 minutes left of the show. It will go on a little bit longer than normal. But if you can help us knock out our gift goal, that would be greatly appreciated. You can see it in the upper left corner. The pay apps are either, depending on where you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, the pay apps are either at the top or off to, I guess, left of the screen on me. But if you could help us with that, I'll read any message that you send. Be greatly appreciated. But as this now is falling apart, as the United States is involved in these peace negotiations, I think it's exposing just how little they've been aware, and I think, frankly, how little they give a fuck about the Palestinian people. one, we couldn't even send like our president and our vice president to go negotiate this deal. We had to go send Jared Kushner and Steve Scalise, who have their own interests at heart, and I trust them about as much as I trust a wet fart. But we can't even have our own government negotiate these deals. We now have JD Vance going over there to try and, I don't even know, smooth something out. But here's an information that dropped from Dropsite News. If you remember, when they had the discussions in Qatar, there was that bombing, and the White House immediately came out and said, we told Qatar, we let them know, and then it happened. And they basically didn't do dick. But they did say that they had warned them in advance. That doesn't turn out to be true. Turns out they didn't warn them in advance. And here's Dropsite News.
This was after Israel's best efforts to derail the ceasefire. We'll have to see whether the U.S. means it, that they will stop Israel from bombing at will. We do have Israeli reports saying the U.S. is telling Israel to stop because it's trying to encourage countries to join a stabilization force. And they're saying, look, no one's going to join if you're still bombing. We shall see. But we have two narratives now. We have this fog of war narrative of what happened on Sunday.
So you had the first bombings in Qatar. Now you have these bombings in after the ceasefire in Rafah. And now it seems like they were blindsided by these blasts in Rafah again. And Netanyahu's just saying like, "Oh, this isn't our fault. Somebody took one step out of line." They're just making shit up.
In Rafah, well, we don't really know what happened. Maybe it's some rogue Hamas unit. And then we have the leaks from the administration.
Thanks,
two organizations here in the U.S. On the left, Dropsite News. On the right, the American Conservative, had briefings from administration officials who said, we know exactly what happened. This had nothing to do with Hamas. There was no Hamas.
Now listen to this. Listen to what they used for their justification for bombing Rafah.
Emerging from tunnels. This was an Israeli bulldozer that ran over unexploded ordnance. And so we told Israel when we found out that we knew what had happened, and we told them to go back to the ceasefire. Essentially, Israel.
So what this is, this wasn't Israeli military. This was a settler in Israel, and we'll show some of these videos. You guys have probably seen them. They're horrific. There are Israeli settlers, and they're basically like roaming gangs, just out there trying to take over Palestinian land. And somebody had their bulldozer out there, obviously, to level the land, do whatever they're doing, and they ran over an explosive device that hadn't been detonated. And it detonated, and it blew up that bulldozer. And so naturally, Israel, even though now the reports are that they knew that it was an unexploded device, they used it as justification to attack Rafah. No matter what happened, like a rock falls out of place, somebody like Netanyahu has a hard time peeing, and he's just going to bomb the Palestinians. Every time. There was no attack here, and yet they bombed Rafah for this. For just simply an unexploded device going off. And they knew about it, and they still bombed Rafah. Lee said, my little contribution to say thanks for all you do. I appreciate it, Lee.
Israel is not in charge anymore of what's happening in Gaza. We are. So we have those narratives. Now we'll see whether they stick, or which one will stick, rather.
Cool. Does the Trump administration go and correct that? Do they put any pressure? No. JD Vance doesn't even know what the fuck is going on. Here's JD Vance, who's headed over to, I think he left this morning for Israel. You tell me if JD Vance has any fucking clue what's going on the ground over there. You tell me if they're in communication with Israel, if anybody's keeping this guy up to date on what's happening.
The president said today,
Sorry,
in this interview with Fox News,
the question's quiet. I'll try and tell you what it is.
he has no hard timeline for the disarming of Hamas. If there's no hard timeline, just how can you guarantee that Hamas will disarm it?
So the president has said this morning he has no hard line for the ceasefire and disarming Hamas. How are you going to disarm them if you don't have a hard timeline?
Well, the president is actually making a very important point here, which is that we don't actually know even what the reality on the ground is there. I mean, when you talk about Hamas, you're talking about 40 different cells. It's disjointed. Some of those cells will probably honor the ceasefire. Many of those cells, as we saw some evidence of today, will not. Before we actually can ensure that Hamas is properly disarmed, that's going to require, as we know, some of these Gulf Arab states to get forces in there to actually apply some law and order and some security keeping on the ground. So,
So you had a ceasefire agreement. You have no idea how you're going to enforce it. How'd you come to a ceasefire agreement then? what this sounds an awful lot like, and what it looks like, is that the United States used their financial pressure for other Gulf states to tell the Hamas leadership, sorry guys, you're fucked. This is the best we can do. We can give you a ceasefire. Hamas agreed to it, and then Israel's like, yeah, you dumb bitches, we're just going to finish the job anyways. And anytime you guys step out of line at all, if you walk down the wrong path, if you come too close to us, if one of our own people fucks up and runs over an explosive device, like, you're going to pay for it. They're admitting they have no idea. They have no idea how they're going to navigate this ceasefire. There's no mechanism for them to make sure. There's no mechanism to make sure that, like, you don't have Israel just lying. In fact, they seem to have set up a scenario where we are so closed off to the reality on the ground there that anytime Israel wants to do something, they can just do it, and they'll lie to us and be like, oh, actually, it looks like that was Hamas shooting at us, so we blew up their entire village, and we'll just go with it.
I think it would be kind of absurd for the president to say, well, Hamas is going to be disarmed 3 or 4 days from now. We don't even have the security infrastructure in place. We need the Gulf Arab states, our allies, don't have the security infrastructure in place yet to confirm that Hamas is disarmed. Until you actually go a little bit down the path of this peace mission, of this 20-point peace plan, we're not going to be able to say with confidence that everybody is doing everything that we want them to do. Mr. Vice President.
Notice nothing about Israel there. Nothing about Israel stepping out of line. Continuing to position Israel as the good guy. And again, we sent over Jared Kushner. Jared fucking Kushner. What's his experience? The Abraham Accords, and then they gave people in the Middle East have been funding him? Any idea why we sent Jared Kushner? Why are we not sending our ambassador? Why not Marco Rubio? Why not Trump? Why Jared Kushner? He is creepy. Dude, he's getting weird looking. He has this perpetually, like, look on his face through this whole interview.
Have both done a lot of business with the Gulf states, billions and billions of dollars worth of business. And you've done some.
Sorry, real quick. I'm going to give these. Israel will use any excuse to perpetuate hate. Thank you, Christy. Danny said, here's my learning text. Annette says, keep up the great work. Betsy says, for the gold. Jay, Jen, and Mods. Edward, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. If you can help us knock out that goal, that'd be greatly appreciated. On to these two. I don't know. It seems like a movie at this point. Because the government isn't going to be in charge of that. Our federal government's not going to be in charge of awarding contracts in Gaza. Who's going to be in charge of that? Probably not the Palestinians. Probably the Israeli government. How do we know that your companies won't be involved in that? Or how do we know that you won't help decide which companies are involved? We have no transparency on that. Why? Because you don't work for the government. You guys understand that our government, this great government that we have, they just outsourced this negotiation. They're outsourcing foreign policy. We have people that you elected. Donald Trump, he's this great deal maker, right? J.D. Vance, he's so brilliant, right? Marco Rubio, he has all these connections across the world. Mike Huckabee. Why did we outsource it? Why are government negotiations being done by somebody who can't pass a government background check and holds no position in the government? Why is that the guy negotiating for us? And does he have a track record of negotiating? Yeah. Is his track record that he makes peace? No. Is his track record that he makes a bunch of money off of it? Yep. And you're telling us, just trust me. Just trust me, guys.
Gaza would not have occurred. We have trusted.
Says who? Why is it? And if that's true, is our government so untrustworthy that we have to bring somebody from outside the government? God damn, Trump's so good. I thought Trump had these relationships. I thought that's why we picked him. Well, we don't like some of the things that he says, and he's outlandish, but by God, people respect him. He's going to make all these deals. He hasn't been involved in any of these negotiations that he keeps claiming he solved. He's outsourced every one of these negotiations, and then he's taking full credit for them. But this is bizarre.
Relationships in the Arab world and even in Israel, where we've both done business in the past, but that means they trust us. We understand their cultures. We understand how they work. And we're able to use those, that knowledge and skill set to try to do things that advance the world.
I would agree exactly with what Jared said.
Yeah.
And I like his statement that conflict of interest is is a terminology used by some, and we call it experience. We really do.
Yeah, but it's a real fucking thing, you know? You can't just say it's something else. It's a conflict of interest. It absolutely is. For the party that, what is a man? Forever. You guys just change definitions now and you go along with it.
You call conflict of interest experience?
Because we don't think there was a conflict of interest, Leslie. That's why.
Yeah. You know who never says conflict of interest? The people who are going to benefit. No. It's not a conflict of interest. Do I have interests? Yes. Would those interests be conflicting with certain aspects of a potential negotiation? Yes. But I will negotiate against my own personal interests for sure. And you just have to trust me on that. Will we have a recording of these negotiations? No. Oh, we won't. Okay. There will be no transparency? No, there will not. But no conflict of interest, right? That's correct, because we don't call it that. Thanks, Dondrell, for joining the Dollar Train, as well as Lisa, Rory, and I think I got Lee as well. All right. Where is this? I think this is the one. Yeah. Thank God we're off TikTok. I'm just going to go trigger warning. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is hard to watch. This is 8 minutes, but this is Jasper Nathaniel, somebody who's been covering the conditions in Palestine. I believe he's Israeli. This can be live footage. From what I can gather, and he may explain this because we might cut it short, but they were out in an area and they saw up on one side of this hill, they saw Israeli settlers coming in. And that makes them fearful because these Israeli settlers are like roaming gangs that murder people all the time. So they're like, fuck, we got to get away from these people. And they look up on the hill and they see IDF soldiers. So they're like, okay, that's where we're going to go. We're going to ask them where we should go because we don't feel safe here. That's where this is going to pick up. So it's 7:22. So 7:22 for safety purposes, all the local farmers gather to head out to fields in one caravan. There they are, getting ready to go.
Uh-huh.
7:38, settler with a gun blocks the road with several other settlers behind. Caravan turns around to try another route. See right here.
That's it?
You can't get through. He has a gun.
He has a gun?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Where's the gun?
In his right hand.
Oh, yeah. That's a gun, all right.
8:16, the other route is successful. Farmers and workers disperse to their own plots of land. Different kind of surprise here.
Oh.
Those look like the little fuckers those look like javelina.
Not the settlers I was expecting.
8:19, the farmer I'm with, yes sir, Hakeem, finds that his trees are barren, so we decide to leave. I believe these are olive trees. Settlers are waiting at the top of the hill we came from, so we try to exit through the other side. Soldiers are waiting at the top of the hill.
I mean, it's probably a safer bet than the settlers.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Can you imagine being them? Like, this is how little trust there is for these folks. This is a journalist. Journalist has been covering, and he's looking. He's like, on one side, he has people that he knows want to murder them, that they know for sure want to murder them, and they look up and they see the IDF and they go, "Is it better?" Yes, like, yeah. I mean, I guess this is our better option. We don't trust either one of them, but we'll talk to the IDF. I get out of the car and walk with my hands up to talk to soldiers. They point their guns and question me. I tell them I am American and we are just trying to drive back into town, but there are settlers blocking us. They say they'll let us drive through. Phone in my pocket. I don't know how he's able to get in there. I don't know if they've relaxed the restrictions. My understanding was he lived in Israel, but I guess he's claims to be an American. I don't know how that works.
Do you speak English? We just need help
I
getting
believe they're just covering it so that they don't see that he's recording.
out because the settlers over there are blocking us. And this is the only other way.
Where you want to go?
Just back to Termasiah. Back to the village. That's it.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, just want to go home. No, I live in America. I'm visiting.
Your family here?
No?
No.
I'm here for the olives.
Okay, you have passport?
In the car.
Bring it.
Bringing passport?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I walk back to the car and we drive up. I mistakenly believe soldiers said they would make the settlers leave. Instead, as soon as we pull up the car, the soldiers speed away and leave us with 2 settlers on an ATV, including one with a gun. There are also a few other farmers with a car with a smashed windshield. And this is where it's going to get, again, trigger warning here.
Oh, there's the settlers they're protecting. Right here. This way?
Thanks, Vicky.
And then you can go, okay?
Oh, you're going to move them?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. He said he's moving the settlers.
We all get in our cars and begin driving off, but the smashed car gets stuck, so I get out to try to help the settlers. Or let's see, what does that say? Help the settlers. Oh, I get out to help. The settlers appear to have left.
You know, push. Push.
Then 15 to 20 settlers appear out of nowhere and begin hurling huge stones and chasing us with clubs. Everybody starts running.
Hey! Hey! Press! Press! American press! American press! Press!
I get back into Yasser's car, but the settlers are immediately behind me, and there's a line of cars trying to escape, so we can't move. The settlers smash through our rear windshield with clubs and stones.
Here, what are we? Right behind us. Oh, he's right here. He's right by the smash window. Here he is. Here he is. Get ready. Yeah, there it is.
Remember, these are the good guys. These are the Israelis. They're just protecting themselves. This is somebody smashing out their car windows now with either a rock or a club.
Are the doors locked? Oh, fuck.
We start moving very slowly. Main settler with the club runs past us, with other settlers behind still throwing stones and beating cars with clubs. We see a woman ahead of us who had been working on an olive tree, and then the settler attacks her. His first hit with the club knocked her unconscious. Then he hit her 1 or 2 more times with the club when she was on the ground. Huge trigger warning here. You're going to see a fairly violent attack.
You got it. Oh, come on. Don't fucking hit her. Hey! Oh, my God. Hey! Hey! Hey!
Same settler with club starts attacking activists who had been providing protective presence, injuring at least 2 of them.
Holy shit. Hey!
no. Hey, get in, get in, get in!
Settler attacks our car again at 8:53.
They're still right here. Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out!
Where are they?
They're right behind us.
I let somebody else into the car and get out to check on women. Settlers are still attacking with stones.
I'm gonna get out here. No. Somebody needs to document this. Let her in. You get in. You get in. You get in.
يلا يا حاج يلا. امين اسرع.
You're gonna see some blood here. More trigger warning.
زم معي. تعال 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 ساعد يا
Settlers torch a car and then disperse.
The soldiers set us up for this attack. They set everybody up to get attacked. We're blocked on one side, getting out by settlers with guns. There's one other way to get out. There's soldiers at the top. I got out to talk to them. And they said, yes, come up, come up. So we started going up. There were two settlers up there and a car whose windshield they had already busted. And then as soon as we got there, soldiers jetted off in their Jeep, left us alone with the settlers.
Somebody said Majority Report had him on. I haven't seen that yet. How long did they had him on for an hour and a half yesterday. I'll have to watch that today. We don't have time to watch it today. It's going to be an hour and a half. Okay. The reporter's name there, that was the end of that. His name is Jasper Nathaniel. I'll watch the Majority Report. I'll probably have clips from it tomorrow. But it's just a reminder, like, this is why when people say, sometimes we debate with fascists and they broadly appeal to like an ethno-state, or they say, you know, what's wrong with an ethno-state? This is what's wrong with an ethno-state. It takes people and it basically people are who their heritage is. And this type of behavior is accepted. It's not that everybody in Israel does this. It's that when this happens, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's going to do anything about it. If you want to see the grossest side of Twitter, and there's a lot of gross sides of Twitter, but like go follow these Israeli settlers, these roaming gangs of murderers, and they think it's funny. They're just, you see, like an old woman who's just there working. Who cares? Club her over the head. And why? They're on their own land that the Israelis now believe is theirs. They're like, oh, we're going to take this land now. That's who we're siding with. That's who we're defending. That's who we're protecting. That's who Jared Kushner is going over there and refusing to say anything bad about. Every time this administration talks about Israel, they talk about Hamas. Every fucking time. I don't like what Hamas did, but it's hard to say like that Hamas is worse than Israel. Good luck making that argument. If you just had like a regular person who had no idea about this conflict and you just showed them the death toll and the violence, and you compared, and you could only show them what was true, not all the shit Israel lied about October 7th, not all the fake things, not all the fake beheading stuff, not all that, not all the rapes that they claimed that they can't provide any evidence of and have had to walk back, none of that, just all the real stuff. You would never convince anybody that Israel's the good guy. Never. There's absolutely no accountability for them. I appreciate that. Thanks, Larry. I'm glad you're on our side here. All right. Last thing. Yeah, we got plenty of time. I'll update the gift goal in a minute, but I wanted to play this 60 Minutes interview. This is where we'll end it today. Some of you may have seen this. Some of you may have seen clips.
Erez Ruvani.
Well, they're going to explain who this is. It's Erez Ruvani. He's the whistleblower who has basically come out and said what everybody already knows. This is a weird whistleblower. Generally speaking, when a whistleblower comes out and speaks, people are surprised. Nobody's surprised by this because we're watching it in real time. We're watching in real time this administration fire anybody who isn't deathly loyal, or even somebody who won't do illegal things for them. Erez Ruveni is the whistleblower who basically has said, yes, this administration is just choosing enemies to go after, and I don't have evidence to follow these cases, or to take these cases, I guess, to a grand jury, and so I was fired. And then last thing, I'll update the gift goal. If you guys could help us knock that out by the end, that'd be great. This will probably take 40 minutes or so. We probably have 30 to 40 minutes left. Beauvais was asked this question. He said, I don't recall. It is alarming how often judges in this country are coming out with decisions or comments saying the government either doesn't know what the truth is or they're willfully lying to us. But they are consistently coming to us with information that is incorrect or untrue or unverifiable. This is one of those cases. That guy knew exactly that the planes were in the air, and he knew that he was supposed to say "fuck you," but he just figured out a different way around. He said, "I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm here. I'm not sure what they're doing right now." As if like they were just going to deport people on a whim. Like, oh, we don't really have a schedule. We just deport people whenever. We just send them to El Salvador on a plane whenever. We don't have to arrange that at all. We didn't have to arrange a plane or transportation. We're not really sure when that's going to happen. I'll check in after. It doesn't matter to MAGA. This is what's difficult, is they're going to tell you that not to believe this whistleblower. We have the court order. We have the email going to everybody else saying that like we got to turn people around if they're in the air. We know there's a record here. It does not matter to MAGA. This is why we call you guys fascist. You have decided that the rule of law doesn't matter as long as you guys really want something to happen. If you want it, the law doesn't matter. Judges can get fucked. Any judge who stands in your way now is just like, oh, that's a corrupt judge. That's a Soros judge. If the judge doesn't give us the ruling we want, we just do whatever the fuck we want anyways. And you guys are cool. You will not hold your people responsible for this. You won't. You'll all figure out a way to just say, oh, this is fine. Nah, it's fine. It's no big deal. Judge orders don't matter. If judges' orders don't matter to the executive branch anymore, the Constitution is dead. And currently the Constitution is dead, or on its last legs, because they are repeatedly taking court orders and saying, I don't fucking care. We're just going to do it anyways. A court will rule something unconstitutional. They'll give an injunction, and the administration will just keep doing it. And they're like, well, we're appealing it so we can keep doing it while it's on appeal. As if that's allowed. As if it, like, can you imagine that in your life? If you went to a judge and you were ruled guilty for a crime, that you could just like stay out and keep committing that crime until all your appeals have been exhausted? No, you're in prison when you wait for your appeals to be exhausted. But when it's the federal government, they just keep breaking the law over and over and over. And then eventually, if the Supreme Court hears it and they're like, that is unconstitutional, they're like, all right, fine, I guess now we'll stop. But they've been able to break the law the entire time. You should not be somebody who says, like, I'm a patriot, I believe in freedom, I'm a constitutionalist, and then still be supporting somebody who openly defies court orders every single day. Thanks, B-Nate. Thanks, Marianne. Double check here. Guys, I did mess up the gift goal. It's more than that. But if you could help us out in the next 30 minutes, knock that out if you can. Great. If not, stay here. Your clicks matter, and you matter. We love you.
That was just...
Remember when this all happened and we said that they'll never prove that he's MS-13, and they never have. And even when they brought him back, we're like, they're never going to prove this. None of these charges are going to stick, and none of them have stuck. They clearly just made this up about Abrego Garcia. And like the left was right about this. We were absolutely right on this. We said, like, you have to have due process. You have to show evidence. You can't give somebody a life sentence without evidence. And the right said, he's a bad guy. Why do you guys defend him? He's a bad guy. Well, because nobody was defending him. Just our rights. Like, once you trample on one person's rights, it makes it easier to trample on the next person's rights. And he had rights. And this government made up information. And then when they got caught, they lied. They literally let an actual violent criminal out of jail to testify against him. And then they dropped those charges anyways. They have absolutely nothing on Abrego Garcia. They made up the whole thing. And they've done this with a lot of people. Abrego Garcia is hardly the only person who had trumped up charges against them Some of these people had legal status, some did not. But they were all lied about. And every time this administration gets caught, like with Abrego Garcia, instead of being like, we fucked up, we'll fix it, they lie. And they try and cover it up. And it's going to be at the end of this, all of these cover-ups and all of these people guilty of crimes, everybody but Donald Trump, he's going to get away with it. But everybody else is fucked, and none of you give a fuck about them either, because all you care about is Trump. You don't give a fuck about J.D. Vance. You don't give a fuck about Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino. All your heroes, they will be buried, just like all your heroes were buried with the last administration. But it's cover-up after cover-up after cover-up. Every day, Donald Trump walks into a microphone, Mike Johnson walks to a microphone, and they fucking lie to you. Every fucking day, without fail. There are 0 days where they haven't stood in front of you and told you a verifiable lie, something that you can simply Google and find out is a lie. They do it every fucking day. And that's where we are, where you don't care. You hate us so much that you don't care that they're lying to you.
Up the chain of command. No way. That is not.
Guys, can I just give you it with Patrick? Patrick, I appreciate you being here. Patrick's only goal here is to get people riled up. You can play along with him, that's fine, but that's all he's doing. Every time, you know what Trump's going to say, you know what all the Republicans are going to say, that this is just somebody with Trump derangement syndrome, and that works with you dumb fucks. It works with all of you. Like every day, somebody comes up and they're like, here's what's going on, and then Trump goes, they just don't like Trump, and you go, oh, that's why? Oh, okay, got it. They don't like Trump. That's why they're saying this. And then you just move on. It's become pathetic for all of you. 15 years from now, I hope some of this is recorded. Like, it's going to be pathetic to go back, knowing all the facts as they come out, watching Mike Johnson come up in front of a microphone every day and say like the dumbest shit imaginable. It's just so obviously untrue, and you'll be able to track it. You'll be able to say, like, here's the evidence at the time. Here's what they said. It'll be everybody watching this. It is so obvious that these motherfuckers are lying. How did anybody fall from this? And Larry will be like, no, you don't get it. We totally didn't fall for it. It's all of you. It's the whole world. We're the only ones that were right. It really was Trump derangement. Administration has gone to the courts, and the courts have said, your information is obviously false. You might be doing it on purpose. Your testimony, your declaration, these are false. They're provably false. And you're bringing them. This is our government. Why is our government showing up, giving purposely deceitful information? All right, Patrick. Patrick needs to be muted for 5 minutes. And Patrick, I want to be clear on this. You're not being muted for any of anything you've said today that's against what we say. You're being muted for 5 minutes for the worst fucking joke by bringing up the auto pen. That doesn't make any. We're talking about human beings speaking to each other right now, so it's not an auto pen time. And because that joke fucking sucked, you get 5 minutes of silence. You can stay here, but you don't get any comments for 5 minutes. You got to have better jokes, okay, bud? Like, I just look at him. I don't even know how to do. I know this is like the most like kindergarten bullshit political commentary, and I have no way to back up any of this. But I swear to God, I don't think anybody looks at this guy and doesn't immediately think evil. Just the way he speaks, one of the most concerning human beings I've ever seen on a camera.
In June, he was asked about Ruvani's claims.
I have never advised a Department of Justice attorney to violate a court order.
Bovee said,
except for we have him saying it. We have an email from the attorney that took it to court who said we have to turn those planes around, and they never. Then we have nothing from Bovee saying turn the planes around. So at the very least, we have evidence that Emil Bovee wasn't doing his job. At most, we have evidence that he willfully ignored a court order, and there's no witnesses or evidence of that. This is based on this is what they've charged him with. He was in a car. And I think maybe some of the people there had questionable legal status. That's what he's being charged with now. He was going to do life in CCOT. Life in CCOT for what they have now is that he transported illegal immigrants, not trafficked them, not bringing them, like he just drove in a car with them. That's what that's what this guy was going to get a life sentence for. Life sentence of beating, starvation, sexual assault. in a CCOT prison, and this is the best they can come up with now. Thanks, Jamie, for joining the Dollar Train. Jen Star said, just appreciation for RTP and team and all you guys do. Thank you.
Judge criticized the Justice Department's poor attempts to.
I didn't see that one. Donald Trump turned 79, which makes him the first president whose age surpassed his IQ. I was unaware of that. Thanks, Corvette Girl. Brought it today. We made it through. I want to catch. That was going to be the end, but some breaking news came in, so we're going to cover this live. I'm not really sure. Jen sent this to me. Somebody was talking about the lawsuit. This is according to CNBC. The video. President, before I read this, we'll finish on this and then we'll be back tomorrow morning. I don't know what's left on the gift goal. I think that's about right. It's for somewhere around there. If you can help us knock that out, I don't know if we'll be able to get the total. That'd be great. President Donald Trump has demanded the Department of Justice pay him a whopping $230 million in compensation for its criminal investigations of him after his first term in the White House. The Times noted that any potential settlement might have to be approved by people he has appointed. Jesus. They'll settle it. Bro, this guy's just going to take money from the government. He's just going to sue the government. We're going to have to pay him now for investigating him. One of them, Deputy Attorney Todd Blanche, previously represented Trump as his defense attorney. His own defense attorney is going to have to approve this settlement. Trump submitted complaints related to the DOJ's probes through an administrative claims process that is often the precursor to lawsuits. One claim submitted in 2023 requests damages in connection with the DOJ's investigation or interference in the 2016 presidential election by Russia. Oh my God, is that why he's doing this? Hold up. All this time. You gotta be fucking kidding me. I think maybe the reason that he's been releasing these files, like the thing that Tulsi did for him with the Durham Annex, and what was the other? I forget what the other one was. All just to help his lawsuit here. The other filed in mid-2024 accused the FBI of violating Trump's rights by conducting a search of his Mar-a-Lago club and residence in 2022 as part of an investigation into his retention of classified documents after leaving the White House at the end of his first term. They filed for a warrant. Like what they did, this was all handled properly. Trump was indicted. Judge tossed out like they put that. What was Cannon, Bowsy, Genzi, General Bam Bondi. You settle the lawsuit, I'll say strong, very power to celebrate it. There was one more thing on the outline, actually. I want to make sure. One other. I don't want to do this tomorrow. The person that the Trump administration. There's a story from Anna Bauer. Lagging or is the stream bad? It's good. All right, let me know if that's better. Let me know. I switched my VPN. Sometimes that happens. It's skipping like a CD. Lag, yes, bad. Still skipping back, better. All right, I think we fixed YouTube. Sometimes that happens. Working over there. It was 1:20. It turned out she was texting me about a criminal and my message. Over the next 33 hours, Halligan never said. She never said a word suggesting that she was not on the record. It is not uncommon for federal prosecutors to communicate with the press both through formal and sometimes informal channels. My exchange with Halligan, however, was highly unusual in a number of respects. She initiated a conversation with me, a reporter she barely knew, to discuss an ongoing prosecution that she is personally handling. She insisted that she could not reveal such information, which is protected from disclosure by prosecutors under federal law. As a legal journalist, I said that she would do this. Neither had my editor. Over the last several days, he and I spoke with multiple former federal officials in testimony in an active case. Justice Department spokeswoman Natalie Baldassari confirmed the authenticity of the text, having to dig into the facts of the case to craft a truthful story. So you thought you'd tattletale to Maine justice. Lindsay Halligan was attempting to point you to facts, not ever getting anyone to talk to you when you publish their texts. After I reached out to the department for comment on Halligan's text, Halligan text sacked. That someone was Eric Siebert, Halligan's predecessor as the U.S. Attorney in Eastern Virginia, who was removed or four-time adversary during his first term. For years, bringing criminal charges that he thought lacked merit. After news of his objections surfaced in the press, he abruptly departed. Drink, my mouth is drying out. Ironically, nobody $1,800. which is a alarmingly small amount of money for the Department of Justice to worry about. Just Times article that referenced all of this on Twitter, as I often do when notable developments arise in relation to the legal cases I cover for Lawfare. Shortly after noon, I tapped out a post linking to the Times article and summarizing it as follows. New York Times reports that Letitia James' great niece lives in the home that is subject of she's $1,005,000 in fees collected for renting it out, apparently to her great niece, and she visits there. Doing the math, she's benefited. She tweeted out this story, James, of seeking a second home mortgage, when in reality, when I received the 120 connection request on Signal, an encrypted messaging service that many journalists, you're reporting things that are simply not true. Thought you might have a heads up. Remember, this is now the prosecutor. She's reaching out to a journalist. I'll go a little. I'll abbreviate. I accepted the Signal request and typed out a response explaining that I needed some additional from that's where they had actually met, at a place called Breakers. Okay, I'm all ears, I said after thanking her. What am I getting wrong? Honestly, so much what I read rather than truly looking into the evidence. To confirm, I sent Halligan a link to the post in which I summarized Thompson's exculpatory evidence without knowing what you're talking about. It's just bizarre to me. If you had any questions before you report, feel not even a report here. Did they get something wrong? I asked. Yes, they did, but you went with it without even fact checking. Then she added, and they are disclosing grand jury info, which is also not a full representation of what happened. I guess I expect them to do that, but I was surprised by you running with it. Everybody in this administration gets their feelings hurt on Twitter and then reaches out stupidly. Can you be more specific? She directed me to the indictment. It says she received thousands of dollars in rent, she said. I can't tell. By direct, not that she had never paid any. Indictment says there were thousands of dollars, $1,000 and $5,000 in rent back in 2020, but after that she didn't disclose any additional rental income. I'm still not sure I understand what's incorrect about. Turn our mind and continue to do what you've what to make it all. So then she writes a story, and I wanted to show you just how this ends. Then she writes the story. She reaches out, and at 4:10 she gets a text. She says from Halligan, and Halligan says because none of these people know what the fuck they're doing. How this works, you don't get to say that in retrospect. Halligan was unpersuaded. She said, "Yes, I do." Halligan was unpersuaded. She said, "Yes, I do." Off record. I'm really sorry. I would have been happy to speak with you on an off-record basis had you asked, but you didn't ask and still haven't agreed to speak on that basis. Do you have any further comment on the story? To my surprise, she said, "It's obvious the whole convo's off record. There's disappearing messages and it's on Signal. What is your story? You never told me about a story." I didn't respond. You're on record who has no clue what they're charging Letitia James for. None. No fuck. Of course she does, because she's part of this administration. And here we are. Just with this administration. And here we are. Just one more day of Trump fucking up over and over. And again, like, these people are going to pay for these crimes. And Donald Trump won't. And none of them get it. Jacob said, "Do you know where dads get all their jokes?" The database. Joy says, "Trump foreign policy. If you mess with the United States, there will be hell to pay." In one word, to pay. Anthony said, "For a better internet fund." Hopefully Wednesday night, they're coming out here to fix my internet. So hope so. And I think that's it. I think I got all of them. Jen, did I miss any? I don't think so.
Hold on. I think another one just came through. I had to step away for a second. Shit. Hold on. Sorry.
God, we should have how do you guys like the Twitch version, those that you came over from YouTube? Are any of you going to stay with Twitch now that you've done YouTube?
So, Christina said, "You have the best, most informative live on social media. Unfortunately, I'm retired and really wish I could do more."
I appreciate that. Thank you, Christina. Did I miss any others?
I don't think so. I don't know if you read the other Venmos from before that.
I did.
You read them from the chat.
Yep.
I wasn't listening to the whole thing.
Okay.
So, yes, guys, I'm fine. I just dropped the phone that I was talking on. So.
All right, guys. We'll be back tomorrow morning and every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time. Here, wherever you're watching. Hopefully tomorrow's the last day with shitty internet. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, replays are on YouTube. You can catch us there, and on Spotify. You can catch the replays there as well. Did I miss anything? I don't think I missed anything. All right, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. Take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool, and have a great summer.